And Gold with you the next 4 hours, getting set for Chiefs, Bills, Sunday night, divisional round weekend. Alex Gold, Cody Tap. We got JT producing the show again. Drew still under the weather. Hopefully he's back with us on Monday, but let him get right. Let him feel good. We got JT producing today for us. We got Brian Baldinger coming up in about a half hour at Baldy NFL. You probably see his tweets on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it, and he does a great job explaining really why are the Chiefs having success in certain areas. Why is Rashee Rice suddenly having more success? We'll get his thoughts on that and talk about the rest of the divisional round weekend. We got our guy Pete Sweeney joining us at 11 o'clock, and then it's a Club 610 Red Friday as well. So Harold Kuntz, Fox 4, going to join us in the 1 o'clock hour. His colleague, our friend Rob Collins, actually already in Buffalo. So Harold got to stay.
Standing by big piles of snow at the stadium.
I'll say Harold got to stay in warm Kansas City compared to Buffalo this weekend based on the snow, right? I know today is freezing in Kansas City, but Buffalo got like 3 feet of snow. So at this point in time, and knowing where the weather is trending for the weekend, I think KC's the better spot to be.
Did Rob bring his shovel?
I don't know if Rob Collins brought a shovel. I think they're
He should be putting snow back into the stadium, making it harder for people, you know? Don't help out Buffalo. Playing them in the playoffs.
Their fans will find a way in the stadium one way or the other, you know?
I mean,
they're once again hiring people $20 an hour to shovel out the aisles and stuff at Highmark Stadium.
They straight up bailed last week. Did you see how much snow was in those seats?
Yeah, but everybody found their seat. Everybody was sitting eventually.
They just bailed. They gave up on that thing.
You saw the game, though. Like, everybody was sitting there. Everybody found a seat eventually. At first, it was hilarious.
That Steelers fan, like, trudging through the middle of that aisle, that video that went viral. Oh, man.
That was a good one. Our Red Fridays are brought to you by ComCare. Call or text 988 for 24/7 mental health support. We'll get to the game in just a second and what actually is a little scarier in this matchup. Two things that have been problematic all year for the Chiefs, but which one do you actually fear a little bit more? We'll get to that in just a little bit. But what happened after the show was what was expected when it came to the stadium front in Jackson County. All signs were pointing towards Frank White vetoing the measure that would have sent it to the voters in April for the 3/8 cent sales tax. So he vetoed it. That was expected. Nobody's surprised. Sure. 4 different Jackson County legislators have joined him in support of his veto. So where are we at? Monday. Monday is the day. Monday is when the override vote has to occur. They need 6 votes to override the veto. If it does not happen, then we're talking about the fall potentially for an April ballot in Jackson County, or everything's on the table again, and maybe Kansas or whoever else starts to get involved on the Royals and Chiefs front. But that's where you're at. They say between now and Monday afternoon, they got to flip some votes. There are the 4 legislators between Jalen Anderson, Sean Smith, Megan Marshall, or Jeannie Lauer. One of them have to flip. I was told that Marshall and Lauer are pretty much hard no. So really between Jalen Anderson and Sean Smith, one of them has to flip to a yes by the time you get to Monday afternoon to change.
Remember, they were a yes 1 week ago.
Well,
two of them. One of them wasn't.
They were a yes for not doing the extension, not a yes necessarily for the ballot measure. I think we all kind of there's more details within it. That's the explanation why they switched. They were a yes for not doing the extension per se.
Yes, but also following the same guideline of this is the thing you had just voted for, and now it's coming out that way. And look, Frank White at least finally presented a list of things that he wanted. Now, I'll say some of this is kind of offensive because some of these things have already been publicly agreed upon, like the insurance premiums on the stadiums. Okay, they've already said that. And and I get it. Like, I guess I hadn't heard about the stadium demolition, so maybe that's it. But honestly, it felt, again, very manipulative about him because he could have announced these things forever ago and said he waited till the very last minute, because he wants this thing to come down to the very last minute because he thinks he can sway the vote his way. It once again feels very personal between the Royals and Frank White and Jackson County and all of this. And my stance has been, and I think this is, I know I'm going to get a million tweets and a million texts from everybody, just like we did last night, to be like, oh, you're paid by the Royals, you're a corporate shill, just sending out their stuff. I don't want to go back through and play hours of radio in which we've talked about my stances on publicly funded stadiums in general, this particular site stuff. The point is, now I'm at the point that I think the Royals and Chiefs have given enough information that I think they'll give you the rest by April to bring this to a ballot measure and let you decide. Because if they don't give you the details that are still missing from both the Chiefs and the Royals, then you're going to vote no for it in April anyway, and you have that right. And should, by the way, if by April the Chiefs and the Royals haven't cleared up a few of these small things.
Yeah, look, Frank White has been at the center of this. He's the Jackson County executive. But I want to point out, I mean, there are 4 legislators that are also joining him in support of his veto. So, he is he is in charge, right? He's the guy that gets all the heat for this, as he should. But there are also other legislators that are joining him, for one reason or another, in support of that. I think that's important to note. He is certainly influencing, I think, but they are also joining him in support of this. I'm with you also on, for the first time we saw in that statement from Frank White, the unresolved issues. And you're right, there are numerous ones that have already been publicly addressed. The parks tax revenue reimbursement, the insurance costs being handled by the teams. Those are 2 things that they have both, the Chiefs and Royals, have publicly come out and said that they are willing to compromise on. And should the Royals have a site by now? Absolutely. It is ridiculous, right? It is. It is ridiculous the Royals have not determined a site. But I think when April is the target date for a ballot measure, are we saying, or are they saying that they don't believe that Jackson County residents are smart enough to decide what is a good and isn't a good deal? Like, that's where I'm at with you on this is, more details need to continue to come out by the time April 2nd comes for those that have an opportunity to vote on this. That has to happen, including where the site is going to be for the Royals. That's a very fair complaint.
Yep.
But do you not trust that voters can make that decision if that information isn't available or if they don't like the site? Like, that's basically, to me, what you're saying. You're saying that you don't believe that, 700,000 Jackson County residents, roughly? You're saying that you don't believe that they can make a smart decision. Oh, by the way, the same Jackson County executive that has screwed over these people via property tax.
Yeah, you couldn't handle your business before, but now you want to be in charge of this solo?
So there are valid complaints about what information has not been fully agreed upon. You just went through a couple of them. Most notably, it's the site selection. But I think the biggest issue now for me is let the people decide. If not, you're saying you don't believe they're smart enough to make the correct vote or the smart vote, in your opinion, come April 2nd. And you're not even giving the 700,000 people an opportunity to do that.
That's my issue. My issue is that now. I understand, again, all of the things that come with the real questions. And if the Chiefs and Royals, because I've told you, you and I don't have to go back through or argue about what is more or isn't or to what level they're agreeing to. Both teams have things to provide. The Chiefs need to provide a plan, in my opinion, for what they're generally going to do with the money. Do they need to tell me where every nut and bolt for the renovation is going to go? No. But they got to tell me what their plan for the renovation money is, and the Royals need to tell you where the location is and what the site's going to look like. They have until April to figure that out. You do know that if they don't provide that for you, that Jackson County is not going to vote very favorably on this thing. They're going to have to provide you more answers, but I just don't like the idea in any real case of one elected official deciding it for everybody. Like, that's kind of crazy. One guy's like, nah, I got this. You don't like this deal. Trust me. And you're like, but at the same time, like you said, he's done things against his own constituents during this time that were pretty ugly, including the property tax
There were
stuff.
also just rumblings that for a long time, like if these are unresolved issues, there were rumblings for a long time that he wasn't willing to even meet with the teams until the last 2 months or so. So that's why it's tough to just all of a sudden believe everything that is coming out of this statement as well, because for many, many months, those even on the Jackson County legislature publicly have come out like, hey, there's just meetings haven't been happening. And now that, more and more attorneys have gotten involved, actually, there's been a little bit more progress here recently. But whether you're a yes vote or a no vote is fine. That's not what we're even talking about. You may just be completely against the idea of the stadium project. That's your decision to make. But you're not even being allowed to make that decision if this veto holds up on Monday. You're not being allowed to vote in April if, in fact, you do not get the 6 votes. And again, they need one of the 4 to flip, they being the Royals and Chiefs, if they want it on the ballot in April.
The Chiefs and Royals combined statement was pretty simple. We respect the county executive's veto authority. We will continue working with the legislators to ensure the ordinance is on the April ballot so that Jackson County voters have the opportunity to decide on the extension of the current 3/8 cents sales tax. So who knows? We'll see, I guess, come Monday, Gold, because we're right back where we were before. It got vetoed. They don't have the votes as of today, according to most sourcing. But they're like, it's hard for this to not feel like a grudge. I'm sorry. I went back and read every article about Frank White when he left the Royals, and he's like, I'm done with them. I'm done with this organization. That's the things he was saying when this thing went down. And then it just so happens that he's the single biggest cog in what would be the single biggest move for both of these organizations in a really long time, one of which would be the Royals, moving the stadium to downtown baseball, and he's the one holding it up. Hard not to feel personal.
We'll have a chance to talk more about this on Monday, obviously, when the news ultimately happens, which is whether or not the veto gets overridden or not, and then everything opens back up from there. But let's talk about this game on Sunday night. It is a Red Friday in Kansas City, a much more positive end than the frustration around the stadium stuff. Looking at the two glaring issues throughout this season have been leading the league in drops, and then the most penalized right tackle in football. Two of the biggest issues for this team all year.
One of the most penalized right tackles in the history of football.
Which of the two actually scares you more? Because I get why the drops are frustrating, but on the road, silent counts, crowd, I think an offense that's moving the ball more, what scares you more? I actually think it is that there's a false start or a holding penalty that takes a 15-yard gain down to the Buffalo 5, and it gets called back, and instead it's 1st and 20, at the 30-yard line or whatever, just throw out a yardage line. That's what scares me more than the drop. The reason why the drop's a little less concerning to me today than they had been, and I'm more concerned on the penalty end with the O-line, is because they have focused more of their target share now to their best players. Rice, not that he can't drop a football, but Rice, Kelsey had 3 drops, okay? I still trust those two individuals more than earlier in the year when they were trying to make MVS and Kadarius Toney players that they were not. So for me, it's the O-line, holding penalty, false start penalty that kills a drive that was going. That is actually more concerning than the 1 or 2 drops we probably are still going to see, let's just be honest with ourselves, on Sunday night.
The drops concern me more. And the reason why is because I think the problem is that they need points against Buffalo. I understand their defense. They don't need a bunch of points. This is in the olden days, right? They don't have to score 35 against Buffalo in order to get a win. But the drops have been the one thing of what you've mentioned to me that still remains of their difference between moving the ball. They've overcome some of the offensive penalties to the point that from the 20 to the 20, they're pretty good at those things. Travis Kelce's dropped a couple of balls in the end zone that could have been touchdowns instead. And I understand the Jawan Taylor penalty last week. That's a tough one for him to get. Okay, he got that block in the back penalty after someone shoved him in the back into the back of another player that led to a field goal. The drops concern me because that's where the Chiefs still have some real untapped scoring potential. McCole Hardman, MVS, I don't care which receiver you mentioned, Gold. If they were to just get one of those connections, we aren't talking about the Chiefs beating Miami by just 19. We're talking about the Chiefs beating Miami by 25, 27. Because there are touchdowns on the board in the long passing game that I think that they can get if they can just hold on to the football. I think specifically with those two, Kelsey's drops, they've been weirdly high all season, but I don't know. They didn't seem to stop him last week from being pretty effective.
Yeah, he had 3 drops. If otherwise, he has a 100-yard game. I still think just the penalty, when you consider this game is on the road, I'm not worried about how Mahomes is going to handle the road atmosphere. Not at all, actually.
That doesn't concern me.
Jawan Taylor at right tackle, add the noise into it. He was already the most penalized. Yeah, I'm a little worried about the false starts. He has to be on his A game at right tackle. Donovan Smith, I'm not worried about the penalties other than just the normal. He's probably getting called for one holding call in the game. That's just who he is. We had Ross Tucker on all the way back in week 2, and he just talked about his style of play. Sometimes he can get a little lazy. It's just, that was how Ross Tucker described it.
Yeah, we should have heeded that then. It was very true. But in fairness, it's the playoffs. You would anticipate less. He played one of his better games of the season in this last playoff game against Miami.
He did.
So maybe he just needed the proper motivation going into it. I worry about both. We understand that the 3 things that have bitten the Chiefs all year are the 2 that we mentioned, and turnovers, just straight up giving the ball away. That was actually what was so refreshing about that Miami game. They had the 1 turnover, but it was way late. So for 98% of the game that mattered, the Chiefs were 1 up in the turnover differential. And guess what? They're up 2.5, 3 touchdowns on a team that did it. That's the other thing I don't understand about the national perspective of this game, because I continue to see the national perspective is the Bills are more talented. They're going to win this football game because they're more talented. And I'm just like, they're not. They're just not more talented. I don't think that that's the case at all. But it's also just pretending like the Bills don't have turnover problems of their own or talent deficiencies of their own and are capable of some of the same mistakes the Chiefs have had. They don't have a regular deep threat that comes across the board either with Kansas City. the biggest difference is that they probably get penalized less, and they're better in the red zone. They're third or fourth in red zone touchdown scoring, and the Chiefs are 15th or 16th. That is always the funniest thing about Gold. As many times we talk about this offense, we always talk about them like they are 27th, but at worst, even in red zone scoring, we're like, God, they're miserable in the red zone. They're like league average. They're like pretty normal. It's bad for the Chiefs, and especially come postseason time, but it's not like they're bad in the red zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the drop thing, I think you asked me at times yesterday, like, is that something that can just change and could be solved? Like those were the first month of the season conversations. Like we had Tony Gonzalez on the show for that Thursday night game a couple weeks into the season. Asked him the same question then, like, is it curable? And at the time he said, well, yeah, it is. You just got to focus.
I used to think that too.
We're so far past that though. The guys that are dropping passes are going to keep dropping passes. Okay, yeah. Just don't give them the opportunity. This is why, like, I like how they have scaled back. Hopefully they're not tempted with Kadarius Toney, MV, like those individuals that really were having the drop problems. Rashee Rice actually has been better about it recently.
Actually, for his run, he's been holding the ball a lot.
Knock on wood on that one, right? But he has been better. Travis Kelce, I don't suddenly think after dropping 3 games this past week that now he's just going to start dropping passes the rest of his career. You know what I mean? You are who you are for the most part. And I think we kind of know who is more prone to drops and who isn't. I also know who is the most penalized offensive lineman or player in football over the last 4 years. And unfortunately, it's your right tackle. So that's a little more concerning for me. Hopefully neither one is an issue for them on Sunday night.
How much do you, I guess this, people would say this about the Chiefs too. How much do you really fear the Bills' pass rush? They are ranked right near the Chiefs in sacks this year. But it's just they have 8 defensive linemen with 3 sacks. They have one big one, 10.5 sacks, kind of like the Chiefs do with Karlaftis. And they got another one who's 9 sacks, kind of like Chris Jones. And then they got a bunch of guys, but theirs are all just ancillary defensive linemen picking up 1 or 2. The Chiefs are clearly manufactured. I know where they get their sacks. They get them all from the secondary and blitz schemes. The Chiefs have more unblocked pass rushers in the NFL this year than any other team. They send more guys to the quarterback who manage to just straight up not get blocked than anyone else this year. So I know that they can manufacture their pass rush. The Chiefs' interior offensive line is still their strength. It might be hard for the Bills to just rotate random defensive linemen in the interior and get the blitz. They're going to have to count on those 2 guys.
Ed Oliver can be a problem still. I trust the interior of the O-line, like you were saying.
It's Rousseau and Oliver, by the way, are the 10.5 and 9
Yeah,
guys.
No, Rousseau and Oliver are their best. Epinesa has been on IR for a while. He made an impact in the first matchup. I believe it was week 14. I think he
had the tipped ball interception.
Yeah, he's done that twice against Mahomes in his career. He's a hell of a player, but luckily he's not available. That's where, we were talking about the concern in tackles from a penalty perspective. But as you were saying, there's also this personnel grouping for the Bills is just far more capable of causing some problems. We're just coming, if things were to not go well, I think they're not hard to figure out what they would be. I think the Chiefs are winning this game. But if you tell me that the Bills are getting pressure throughout the game, it would not stun me. I don't think it should stun you. The Dolphins didn't have the personnel to even, in my opinion, challenge Jawan Taylor or Donovan Smith. This is a challenge for Jawan Taylor and for Donovan Smith. Doesn't mean they can't meet the moment, but I do think the personnel can actually cause some problems with this team versus what the Dolphins were even able to try
What's
to do.
funny is allowing pressure is okay to a point, just as long as you don't get the penalties you talked about, the holding penalties specifically you talked about, because the Chiefs let up the least amount of sacks in the NFL, and the Bills allow the second least amount of sacks in the NFL. And that's not just because they're offensive lines. It's because they have quarterbacks who are better at sack avoidance than every other quarterback in the NFL. That's why. It's not just that these are the number 1 and number 2 offensive lines in the league. It's because both of those guys are good at sack avoidance.
Our NFL playoff coverage on 610 Sports Radio brought to you by Twin Peaks Eats, Drink, Scenic Views. Here in about 10 minutes, we'll be joined by Brian Baldinger, our Odyssey NFL insider. He does a great job explaining why certain things are happening in the game. We all just say, man, Rashee Rice is just doing a lot better. Well, he'll explain exactly why that is happening in the offense. Looking forward to that in just a little bit. There is one thing I do not get why it is still being pushed out by just one specific
just literally
media
one person.
member, and it still is about Andy Reid's future. You guys remember we had a conversation, a week and a half ago?
Something like that.
About Mike Florio once again suggesting, hey, does anybody think Andy Reid might want to retire? He did that, and I thought we were done with that again for a little while. And then
because Andy said
Mike Florio yesterday started talking about it again.
The one I'm watching is when the Chiefs season ends, is Andy Reid going to retire?
Oh, wow.
He has said he's not thinking about it. And I guess the smart aleck would say, well, there's nothing to think about if you've already decided you're going to do it. But I think there's reason to believe the Chiefs have the possibility on their radar screen. We'll find out when the season ends. You know, a lot of times, guy keeps his mouth shut until it's all said and done. He doesn't want to be the story. He doesn't want to be the focal point. He doesn't want it to be the issue. Although I could say at some level, the closer they get to the Super Bowl, if guys start thinking maybe Andy Reid would walk away, that gives them the extra little kick to let him walk out with a trophy. But we'll see.
And could you imagine if that job opens up, that would instantly become the most coveted job in the sport with Mahomes?
Ever since I caught wind of the possibility that the Chiefs are bracing for Reid leaving, not saying he will, but I think there's reason to believe the Chiefs have it on the radar screen. Mahomes, there's only one, and the Chiefs have him.
That was Florio with, I believe that was Zach Gelb of CBS Sports Radio. He has brought this up multiple years in a row. I don't know why he's insisted on suggesting this. I'm not telling you that Andy Reid's coaching for 10 more years, but also, why do we continue to question him more than anybody? Nobody thinks Belichick's walking away. That dude's got, 7 rings, 8 including the defensive coordinator days or whatever. Like,
He's probably going to become the Falcons head coach next week.
What are we doing here?
At this point, honest to God, help me understand. I feel like he's just making it up. Like, he's just straight up making it up. And obviously the answer is clicks, right? He just wants people, but like, this isn't a radio interview. He's not even getting a click for it. Why is this the rumor he has decided to hold on to so firm? By the way, he is going to take the ugliest victory lap on this thing. Like 6 years from now, when Andy Reid actually retires, he'll be like, "See, I told you. Been talking about this guy retiring. I was the first one who mentioned it." He'd be like, "That was 5 years ago." He's going to play this guitar he's going to play this string every single year, apparently, until that's the case. And it's incredibly frustrating, I would think, if you're Andy Reid. Andy Reid stood at a podium, was asked about this straight up right after it was announced that, Pete Carroll was stepping down and and Saban was retiring. And he's like, "I know you're asking because I'm old. I'm not that old."
Yes, that was his way of, I think, shutting it down. And the one thing Florio is correct about, it's true, Andy probably is not the coach that's saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm retiring in 3 weeks." Or he's not going to give people a heads up. I don't dispute that. He'll
just be gone.
I don't dispute that. But he is younger than Belichick, unless we have said consistently, unless there is something, unfortunately, that were to crop up that would health-wise prevent him. Why would he step away? This is what this dude has done his entire life. He's got the best quarterback. The same answer you give for why people would covet the Chiefs job is the same reason why Andy Reid covets the current job he has.
It's a pretty good job.
You
have Patrick Mahomes. He's real good.
I don't get it. I really don't, man. And he surely is like the only one. It's not like this is coming from 5 other national people. He is the only one.
In a weird way, I kind of understood it when there was personal stuff going on, or when he was having off-season surgeries and it looked like he could barely walk on the sideline. That's not even the year for that. That you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even this year. Like, he came in like he was practically clicking his heels together walking into training camp. The other part is and I understand, coaches are different. I wouldn't be surprised 5 years from now if Sean McVay hangs it up. Look, maybe he's re-energized, but there have been coaches who have flirted with that or just seem like they have a mix of interests. I've always pointed this out about Andy Reid that I never understand why the rumors circle him. He is the most football guy coach ever. Can you even Andy Reid's not going to the booth. Andy Reid's just gonna one day he'll just stop coaching football, and then you'll see it. You'll see a photo of him, and he's 82 years old, and he's not coaching football, and he's just looking at a backyard football game in an alley trying to give tips. This is all he does, man. It's coach football.
Up next, let's get right into this Chiefs-Bills game again, though, with a national perspective that has nothing to do about coaching future, but what the Chiefs are going to do to try to beat the Buffalo Bills. Brian Baldinger, Odyssey NFL Insider, is going to join us next here on Cody and Gold.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every weekday starting at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Well, with these bitter cold temperatures, everybody is bundling up outside. And if you're someone that wears glasses, one of the other downsides with that is in the winter, you're going to walk in a building, you're going to walk out of your car maybe, and your glasses are going to be fogged up. It's just going to cause some problems for your vision. Something I dealt with for, 28 years or so of my life, but I don't do that anymore. Thanks to DuraVision, thanks to SBK Advanced LASIK. I went in for a consultation. almost 4 years ago and found out that I was, in fact, a candidate for LASIK. And a couple days later, I went in for a procedure. And now I don't use glasses. I don't use contacts. I just wake up and see every day. And I don't have to deal with anything fogging up while I'm dealing with these cold weather temps like we all are here in Kansas City. You could also save up to $1,000 right now with their Friends and Family Savings Event. $1,000 off a LASIK procedure. Just go to DuraVision.com. Give them a call at 913-491-3330 and be sure to tell them Gold from 610 sent you.
The biggest winner in the big game could be you. Thanks to BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks is offering new customers a chance to score $158 in bonus bets instantly. That's right, instantly. Just download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code BETKC. Then place a $5 moneyline wager on the big game. You'll receive $158 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of your wager's outcome. Don't miss your opportunity to cross the goal line on the money line as pro football's top teams clash for the championship. Can't be in Vegas for the big game? Then bring the big game excitement to you with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. New customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Turn up the heat with a mouth-watering bowl of brisket chili or savory green chili chicken soup to celebrate National Soup Month. Twin Peaks has just what you want to warm up all winter long. Head over to your favorite lodge to enjoy Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
This week, raise a glass to your home team's Tully touchdown with Tullamore Dew, the original triple blended, triple distilled, smooth sipping Irish whiskey. When it's game time, it's Tully time. Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume, imported by William Grant & Sons Incorporated, New York, New York.
There's a brand new Other Place location in Mission, Kansas, and let me tell you, it is absolutely beautiful. It is the perfect place to stop by, grab a drink after work, catch a happy hour, catch a playoff game, or watch a little college basketball. If you're looking for a place to watch the game, you got to stop by the brand new Other Place in Mission.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-973-7809 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-973-7809. That's 800-973-7809. What do you have to lose? Call 800-973-7809. Again, 800-973-7809.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Max Motors. 9 major vehicle brands to choose from. MaxMotors.com. It's time you took car shopping to the max. You want the best deal from the best dealer. New 2023 Ford Bronco Sports 4-wheel drive. Max easy price, only $31,973. And over 40 new Broncos in stock.
Best financing options available and the highest trade-in values.
MaxMotors.com.
See dealer for details.
A little bit of news in the first game of the weekend. There were some reports the last couple days that maybe Mark Andrews actually had a chance, the tight end for the Ravens, to play against the Texans. Ian Rappaport just a couple minutes ago saying the Ravens are not expected to activate tight end Mark Andrews, who's been on IR for quite some time. Isaiah Likely, the tight end, is filled in actually very nicely, but looks like at least one more week. If the Ravens win this weekend, maybe Mark Andrews is available for an AFC title game. But significant player, significant news after there were a lot of people speculating that maybe, you know what, maybe he actually ends up playing this weekend. But no, Mark Andrews not going to play.
I also think this late into the season, especially in that AFC title game, Chiefs fans should like this. It's going to be hard to just instantly roll a guy back into football shape. Now, they're giving him an extra week, but if it is to be the Chiefs and Ravens next week, you'll be getting first week Mark Andrews, not knock the rust off Mark Andrews. Could be a little bit of an importance. But again, their offense is good with or without him. They have not missed him as much as you and I and a lot of other people thought they would, I'll admit. I thought they'd miss him more. I thought their offense would slip more, but you're right. Isaiah Likely's made a big difference for them.
We are efforting Brian Baldinger. If we're able to get him on, we will go right out to him. But JT is working on that, so we'll see. We're expected to have Odyssey NFL insider Brian Baldy.
You know, if it were Drew, he'd already have him on the phone.
Oh, geez, don't say that.
Really, JT?
Wow,
okay.
Really? Just that was the sound of the bus completely backing over JT, who's filling in for Drew.
I'm kidding.
Gosh, man, that's the second time in 2 days.
You did it yesterday. There was a similar.
Remember, because it was the
talking for trash of the day.
Yeah, trash of the day.
Good point. Good point. You're not an intern anymore, man. This is a mistake for you.
I can't help it. I've got 3 voicemail opportunities.
There you go.
So I'm texting him right now. So there we go.
Cool. All right, sounds good. We'll hopefully have him. You know, the other thing while we're waiting for Brian to join us, though, when you think about the bigger names in this game and who could step up, there sometimes in some of these playoff games is the unknown player. I would argue the Bills a couple years ago, even though they ended up losing, but when Gabe Davis had 4 touchdowns, that was not a name that anybody was talking about heading into the game. Who do you think that player could be on either side? Not that they're going to have 4 touchdowns, but wow, that guy had the biggest play of the game or just went off.
I think Shope's probably right for the Bills. It's Khalil Shakir. That's the guy that you're like, if he has a sneaky good game, presents a problem for you if you're the Chiefs, where you're like, oh man, what did we do? How did we get into this? For the Chiefs, it's been the same all year on offense. It is one of the guys who can catch a deep ball for the first time all season, seemingly, which is MVS or McCole Hardman, where at least they're there. But on defense, I'll give you a different name because I think that's where it would be for the Chiefs. They've got a great defense, and you know the players that are great for them. Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed, Chris Jones, George Karlaftis. It's Charles Omenihu. He yesterday, when he was talking to Aaron Ladd, said, I've got 7 sacks in 11 games. There are guys in 17 games this year that don't have 7 sacks. I'm a star, or I'm playing like a star. I don't remember the exact quote. He's right. That's the player that the Bills will forget about because they're worried about all the names we just mentioned. Sneed, McDuffie, Chris Jones, Karlaftis. And then all of a sudden, in comes Charles Omenihu to be the as I told you, I don't know, this was like 8 weeks ago. When did we have this conversation?
You said the Frank Clark, you think?
Yeah, he's Frank
been playing.
Clark.
The difference is he's been playing at this level before the playoffs started, too. You know, it's not even just like he flipped the switch last week. He's been consistent. I think that's the name. I almost am at a point now where I'm kind of expecting him. That's how good he's been playing. So I hear you on Omenihu. I was going to go defensive line as well. I was thinking Mike Dana on the defensive line a little bit, where he's been a little quieter here recently. but I still think he's underrated to where he could be a guy that comes with a big-time sack or just a big-time play on the defense. On the offensive side, I'll just stick with the name you asked me about before the Dolphins game for the entire playoff run. It's McCole Hardman. I mean, we know they're giving him opportunity, whether it is connecting on a deep ball or I still think on a quick touch pass that he takes around for 15 yards or whatever. That's my answer on offense. Of outside of the big 3 or 4 on offense, who could end up with a game-changing play in a positive way? McCole Hardman. I don't need to talk about the negative stuff. Who could hurt you in a negative way? It's pretty obvious.
And in fairness, some of those guys are playing a lot less. Like Richie James and McCole Hardman and MVS, they've been doing MVS less, but like those two, like the two we mentioned, they haven't really hurt the team. They just haven't done things for the team. That's different. Like Kadarius Toney has actively hurt this team more than he's helped them. Like he's had more big negative plays.
Hardman and Richie James haven't hurt them. I mean,
that's what MVS has. Sorry, I was trying to separate him a little.
MVS and Toney clearly have. Richie James hasn't, fortunately, and McCole Hardman hasn't played enough to even really have an opportunity to do that. And even when he's been used, that's why when we've talked about the snaps and who should be involved in this game more so, other than Rice, Kelsey, Pacheco, McCole Hardman and Richie James, I'm good with them because I actually trust that they're not going to screw it up. And I know typically it's a terrible way to approach a game. Like, as a player, you can't go into a game and say, hey, I'm trying to not screw things up, right? Because that's just a terrible mindset to be in. As a fan and from the outside, I think you can go into a game and say, hey, I trust this player not to screw it up. The player can never have that mindset of I'm just not trying to screw things up. But I also don't need this great redemption story for Kadarius Toney in this game. Good.
I don't need him to play at all.
I know he's been practicing. I actually hope he's not active. And I know normally you would say you want explosive players available. I'm sorry. We've seen it too much this year. We're way past that.
Sean McDermott, by the way, he just joined WGR, our sister station in Buffalo. He did confirm safety Taylor Rapp, wide receiver Gabe Davis, corner Christian Binford, and linebacker Balin Spector are all out versus the Chiefs. Not a single one of those guys is going to find a way. There were some limited participants in some of that group out of practice, but none of them will be out or none of them will be available.
Key injuries, man.
For the Chiefs. That is massive. If you missed the interview yesterday with Mina Kimes, who joined the show in the noon hour, if you wanted to go back to the podcast page, she said that that's one of the biggest reasons why she's picking the Chiefs to beat Buffalo this upcoming weekend is because those injuries matter for Buffalo. That's what we're talking about these key players is making sure some surprising player gold doesn't sneak up on you for Buffalo is important. Gabe Davis got them a couple of times. I know he hasn't had a good year, man. And I know he had 0 catches in that first game. But the previous 2 or 3 matchups against the Chiefs, Gabe Davis kind of blew up. I also just think it's different. They don't give up big-time plays. They don't let one wide receiver bury them. If you have a good game against the Chiefs, what is it? 7 for 75 and a score? Is that a big game against Kansas City secondary these days?
I mean, number one receivers, that is one of the biggest performance. In any receiver, the tight ends are probably going to be the area that the Bills now, how they're utilizing Kincaid, is probably more where they could have success against Kansas City more. So, I don't think Stephon Diggs is getting 8 catches, as you were saying, for 75, 80 yards. They also just haven't taken as many deep shots with Diggs this year. And they've changed their offensive philosophy. And you trust Snead and what he's going to be able to do. But I think it's more that in the red zone, can you find a way to prevent Kincaid getting, a 15-yard touchdown reception? Dalton Kincaid is a much different player, I would argue, even now than what he was when they played in Week 14. But for someone that really breaks this stuff down and analyzes it, let's go out to the 610 hotline and our Odyssey NFL insider, Brian Baldinger. You can follow him on Twitter if you don't already, @BaldyNFL. And our insider calls are brought to you by Old Spice. Men have skin too. Baldy, it's great to have you on the show again. We're all fired up, obviously, in KC for this big showdown in Buffalo. And I wanted to start with why Rashee Rice, frankly, has become the type of player that he's become the last couple weeks. You had a great breakdown on even Travis Kelce this past week being a big reason why things looked easy for him.
I think Patrick got to meet Rashee in Dallas this offseason. Maybe it was the year before. I mean, he's an SMU kid. Patrick lives in Dallas. They were throwing together before the draft. And so I don't know if Patrick influenced the Chiefs to draft Rashee but he liked him. He liked him all the way back then. His size, his hands, how he catches the ball with his hands and not his body. So I think there was a lot of things there even before the draft. And then it's the question of, just finding your place. And right now, I mean, he's the go-to guy. And so I think the trust began early on before the draft, and it's just continued.
When you look at what they do offensively, I think this is one of the things we really liked about it is we were asking the question yesterday, hey, Kelsey or Rice, has Rice somehow become a bigger asset in the offense than Kelsey from a yardage perspective? And our thought is that, no, Kelsey just makes all that stuff plausible for Rice. Is that the way you see it?
He takes a lot of attention. He draws a lot of attention. And so, Patrick's job is to find the open receiver. That's his favorite receiver. And so if they want to do things, whether it's banging Travis off the line or bracketing him or all this stuff that, teams try to do to him, it's going to open things up. And so I think that in some cases, Travis could be like a really good decoy. But Rasheed is winning on his own, too. And so I don't think that's going to change. I mean, I think Patrick's going to lean on him. I think there's a trust factor there. And he's catching the ball as opposed to a lot of the other guys.
In the first matchup back in Week 14 when the Chiefs lost to the Bills, Josh Allen had 10 carries for 32 yards. The Chiefs didn't have Drew Tranquill available. They just had gotten Nick Bolton back. How do you go about trying to limit Josh Allen, who is just so effective as a runner as much as a passer?
Well, they had a great game plan. I mean, it started with the game plan. So it involved two things. One, they wanted to do everything they could to keep Josh Allen in the pocket and not let him escape. And so, I mean, you see times when, when Stone Cold Jones is rushing Connor McDermott, he could beat him easily if he wants to. He's one-on-one. There's no help. But he's content on just pushing the pocket and just keeping Josh Allen in front of him. And when then Josh Allen kinds of break out, then Chris gets off his block, makes a tackle. But they also did a lot of three-man rush, and they spied Josh Allen with Willie Gay. And it was really effective. 32 yards, yes, he had the 6-yard touchdown run, kind of a scrum there, a rugby scrum to get him in the end zone. But they really limited him. And then they also, Chamari got an interception off of him being chased by Willie Gay as he broke the pocket, and he threw it late over the middle, across his body, and Chamari picked him off. He never saw him. And so they got a turnover, and they limited the runs. Now, whether Spags can do something similar like that this week remains to be seen, because I'm sure Buffalo's going to work on it and anticipate it. But I would expect some other type of scheme to try and bottle Josh up and not do what he just did to Pittsburgh and to Miami the week before.
On the flip side, for the Bills defense, it just got announced. Sean McDermott said that Gabe Davis, Taylor Rapp, Christian Binford, Balin Spector are all out. And in addition to that, they don't know whether or not Terrell Bernard is going to play. They're going to see how he looks on Saturday. I know the Chiefs haven't taken advantage of a lot of defenses this year, Brian, but do they have the personnel to slow down Kansas City? Do they have enough available players to slow them down offensively?
Well, the scheme, I mean, you're still going to have Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, at the safety combination that really prevent you from getting a lot of deep shots. But, if A.J. Klein is starting at, inside linebacker, he was just on his way to Key West for vacation when he got called out. So we're not talking about guys that are in game shape. I mean, he's played in the scheme. He knows what the calls are and all that stuff. But we're not looking at, an elite group right now. I mean, if Kaiir Elam is out there a corner, I expect the Chiefs to wear him out or whoever is out there. I think Rasul Douglas will be back. That will help Buffalo. But, yes, I mean, it's been a real attrition rate on that side of the ball. And so you can't take anything for granted. You still got to go execute. And there's still Gregory Rousseau and Ed Oliver and guys coming after you. So, but look, it's not the same defense that they saw in Week 14. It's certainly a weakened group right now.
We're talking to Brian Baldinger at Baldy NFL or Odyssey NFL Insider, where calls are brought to you by Old Spice Gentleman's Blend Body Wash, providing exfoliation plus 24/7 moisturization because men have skin too. Baldy, the Chiefs offensively, we feel like here, have kind of figured out who they finally are, not trying to be maybe who they were in 2022 or 2021, but utilizing what is a really good interior of the offensive line. And they ran the ball 24 times with Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know if they get to that number again against Buffalo, but what are you seeing in this running scheme for Kansas City right now, and how effective do you think it could be against Buffalo?
Well, I mean, I think it could be real effective. I remember talking to Creed and Trey at the OL Masterminds this summer in Dallas, and I was just asking what Andy said to him at halftime of the Super Bowl. And, those guys just started lighting up, and it goes. Andy said we're going to run the ball in the second half, and those guys just got happy, and they did. They ran the ball right down the Eagles' throats, and never got knocked off the field once. They have the ability to be a good power running football team. Those three guys inside, Tooney and Creed and Trey, I mean, they're excellent. They're excellent working together. They're powerful people. They're good run blockers. They get to the second level. And I'm not taking anything away from Juwan or Wyatt, but I think this is what they can be if they want to. And they got, look, Isaiah, he's just a special player. I don't know how long Isaiah can be special for, as hard as he plays and as many hits as he takes and as much contact as he breaks. But right now, he's a special player. And so I don't think they have any reservations at carving Buffalo up inside and, establishing that part of the offense.
We love the interior of the Chiefs' offensive line, too. Do you think their tackles can hold up against the Bills? Like, that is the one part of the Bills' defense right now that still scares me from a matchup perspective, because the Chiefs' tackle play has been, I'll call it inconsistent.
Well, it hasn't been good. It's not a strength of this team. But, if you get pressure off the edge, nobody is better at maneuvering the pocket than Patrick Mahomes. If he has pressure up the middle, that affects every quarterback. I think he can navigate and negotiate at, somebody that gets beat off the edge like they have. I don't think it bothers him at all. His movement is the best in the league. Pocket awareness is the best in the league. And so I don't think if it was better, I think the Chiefs' offense would be better. But it is where it's at right now. And so it's not a strength. You got a rookie on one side. You got a guy who struggled all year on the other side. It's not what they had a year ago. So, it's still full speed ahead. Nobody's going to feel sorry for them if they struggle on the edge against Rousseau and some of the guys that they have, A.J. Epinesa, whoever it is, coming off the edge.
We know the Chiefs can win in Buffalo Sunday night, but do you think the Chiefs are coming away with a win and heading to their sixth straight AFC title game?
Yeah, I do. I think they're going to win. I think defensively they're built. I mean, I talked to Andy Reid in October, I think, this year, and I said for the first time in 25 years, Andy, I'm talking about your defense more than I'm talking about your offense. And it's been the best part of this team all year. And I think they're going to give Buffalo a lot of fits. They have everything it takes to defend Buffalo. And so, you're not, the defense is going to win the game by itself, but I think that it's the best the Chiefs defense has been. And I know they're a little susceptible in the running game. We've got to see if they can stop, James Cook and what Josh can do. So that's going to be something to watch. But I think just adds to Patrick Mahomes' growing folklore about what kind of player he is, that, he goes on the road in his first playoff game and wins against a team that is all they want to do is take down the Chiefs. I think it's just going to add to his legacy that he's building.
Yeah, we cannot wait for Sunday night. It definitely has been the game that I know Bills fans have been waiting for, a chance to get Mahomes in their backyard, and we all love it here. There's that setup as well. So appreciate the insight as always. Thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Enjoy the game this weekend.
There you go. That is Brian Baldinger, our Odyssey NFL insider, at Baldy NFL on Twitter. And our NFL insider calls are brought to you by Old Spice. Men have skin, too. As you mentioned with him and asked him about just the deficiencies now on that defense for the Bills. Yeah, the scheme is the same. They got Micah Hyde and all that. But
missing a lot of players.
But right when we were starting to talk with him, Sean McDermott, as we pointed out, if you're just joining us again, mentioned that Taylor Rapp, their talented safety, Gabe Davis, Christian Binford, the linebacker Balin Spector, all out. I don't know if he's related to our boss or not. We'll have to ask back a little bit later. But all out for the game against the Chiefs. And then we'll still see. Like, it's not 100% that
Terrell Bernard, they said they're going to find out tomorrow
Saturday.
whether or not he's available. Stephon Diggs was limited in practice today. Now, Sean McDermott made it clear he was going to be available, but to what degree? It might be at the end of the day, that might be the biggest conversation coming out of Buffalo. If they end up losing this game to the Chiefs is, what could have been? Because I get it. They're missing a lot of talent, which is fine for the Chiefs. And for the longest time, Gold, I'll be honest, I think I even said this going into the Miami game just last week. Are the Chiefs at any point, have they ever at any point this year been equipped to take advantage of a bad defense? I don't know how many times for how many weeks we went and be like, this will be the week they fix it because this defense is bad and they'll take advantage. Last week, they actually took advantage of a team that was hurt on defense because the same thing you mentioned to Baldy. They know who they are now. It took them 18 weeks. I don't know why, but they know who they are. They don't have any linebackers. You can run with Pacheco. They don't have any linebackers. Get the ball to Kelsey. Their corners are hurt. Fine. Exploit that with Rashee Rice. Those are the only three players you need to worry about in the matchup game, and they know that now for the first time all year.
I think you couple the injuries that now we know as at least taken 4 players out for the game for Buffalo, if not another one that could still be added for Saturday. And then the rest aspect. Even these guys that are game time decisions, even if, let's say all the game time decisions that Sue end up playing, 2 days less rest. I know you're the home team. I know you didn't have to hop on a plane and you're
if you have those rests, are any of these guys going to available?
Right? But they don't have the rest and they're injured. And the Chiefs, I do think if there was ever a time this season to feel, really good about them, this is probably the best you're feeling. It doesn't guarantee a win. I do think the Chiefs are going to end up winning this game as we talk more and more throughout the week, and we have. But right now, seeing the offense, I think, figure a few things out, and the defense has just been great all year. This is the best you feel. This is the best you feel, and it's why suddenly here we are, and we could be talking on Monday once again about them being a game away from a Super Bowl. That's where they could be by the end of Sunday night.
What I like about the way this game is going, because they might be without any linebackers and all that, is it's another game where there's no excuse not to run the ball.
Yes.
That should be your logical game plan, just like it was last week, where you're like, hey, it does make a lot of sense for us to be running at Buffalo right now. They're just as bad as Kansas City in rushing yards allowed against, and now they got no linebackers left, and it's going to be cold, and it's going to be windy. It just lines up 2 times in a row where it's not like a good excuse not to run the ball, where Andy would talk himself out of it. It is logical. It makes sense.
It's part of the formula.
You should probably do it. You and I were talking about betting props we like from the Isaiah Pacheco department.
My favorite bet, I talked about it on that betting show Wednesday night that we do presented by Hollywood Casino here on 610. And Pacheco over 14.5 rush attempts is my favorite bet of the entire game, more than anything else. And it's because what you just said there about the mismatch, and also they're coming off a game in which they gave Pacheco the ball 24 times. And he's rushed the ball even this year over 14 times, 10 times. So, and we know they've leaned into the run more over the last month anyway. So
he's 18 in a row for 4 of the last 6 games.
So I think it's absolutely part of the equation. Do I think Andy's going to give the ball to 24 times to Pacheco?
Probably not.
I would be fine with that. I don't know if he's going to do that.
Probably not.
But there's no excuse why it can't be over 15. Not just for my bet, but truly, you look at the game, that is an era you should have success. Do I think they're going to run immediately? Who knows? They might do what they did with the Dolphins.
Well, they passed twice in a row.
They passed, the first 3 plays, didn't they? Because they had the 3rd and 10. They passed the first 3 plays of the game before they ran the ball. That might happen again because that's just Andy setting it up and all. That's fine. No problem with that. I'm not saying they got to run the ball 6 times on the opening drive, although I think that could work.
He should get it 18 to 22 times on the ground. But before you throw him a pass or anything outside of that, he should handle the ball 18 to 22 times and actually test their linebacker play from a short crosser route, from a run perspective, and find out what you're up against.
Red Fridays here on 610, brought to you by ComCare. Call or text 988 for 24/7 mental health support. What about the injury front for the Chiefs? We talked about the Bills there. We'll talk with Pete Sweeney, our Chiefs insider, who's been at the facility all week long. How do the Chiefs look there, and where does he see the Chiefs having the biggest advantage on Sunday night?
Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call Heartland Men's Health today. Because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at Heartland Men's Health will give you back your sex life. Because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
If you keep one resolution this year, it's to let Smokehouse Barbecue cater all of your events. With the football postseason upon us, invite Smokehouse to your tailgate. At the stadium or at home, Smokehouse is the perfect choice for game day. And if you don't feel like getting out in the cold this winter, have Smokehouse delivered to your house. And make sure you try their new Smokehouse Bowl, a delicious combination of their world-famous beans, mac and cheese, chopped burnt ends, and smoked sausage. Visit them in Independence, Zona Rosa, or Gladstone, or at SmokehouseBBQ.com. It's Smokehouse Barbecue.
We're the Hellsberg Wedding Band, and this is for the lovers out there. Ooh, gonna propose riding on a horse, wearing a tuxedo, shirtless of course. That Hellsberg diamond will dazzle her eye, and she'll say yes. Well, then she'll cry. Now put your shirt back on, guy. For over 100 years, Hellsberg has been customizing engagement rings of the highest quality. Plus, with Hellsberg's transparent pricing, you know you're getting the best price. Find her ring at a Hellsberg store near you or at Hellsberg.com.
Hey there, I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. Chances are, if you bought a car in the last 12 months, you now owe a lot more than that's worth. Don't stay upside down. Let's get you into a better situation.
Come and see us just off I-470 in Colburn Road or visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
The biggest winner in the big game could be you. Thanks to BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks is offering new customers a chance to score $158 in bonus bets instantly. That's right, instantly. Just download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code BETKC. Then place a $5 moneyline wager on the big game. You'll receive $158 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of your wager's outcome. Don't miss your opportunity to cross the goal line on the money line as pro football's top teams clash for the championship. Can't be in Vegas for the big game? Then bring the big game excitement to you with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. New customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Wholesale batteries for all your battery needs. Motorcycle, ATVs, lawn and garden tractors, power sport, boats, jet skis, and RVs. Kansas City, visit Wholesale Batteries now for all your battery needs. Wholesale Batteries, the right battery the first time.
I'm Mitch Holtis, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Choosing the best doctor for your eyes is one of the most important medical decisions you'll ever make. Whether you're considering blade-free LASIK, all laser cataract surgery, and premium lens implants, or want a world-renowned doctor to help with your glaucoma, macular degeneration, dry eyes, or diabetes, trust my doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein. Call Silverstein Eye Centers to make an appointment, 816-358-3600. Experience the best eye care in Kansas City.
I lock up my Old Spice Fiji aluminum-free dry spray to keep that 24/7 lasting freshness safe for myself. Fresh coconuts, palm trees in the wind. It's like catching waves in Fiji. Actually, I just talked myself into a refreshing spritz of Fiji. My Old Spice is missing! No!
Don't miss out on limited-time appliance deals during the closeout event at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an extra $100 when you spend $999 or more on all major appliances. Hurry, these deals are too good to last long. Shop in-store or online today because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid 1/4 through 1/24. Selection varies by location while supplies last. See Lowes.com for details.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
NFL playoff coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views. Subscribe to the 610 Sports KC YouTube page for exclusive video content from Cody and Gold on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs and your home for Royals baseball. 610 Sports Radio. KCSB Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
January 23rd, 1994. AFC Championship game, Buffalo, New York. An overtime win against the Steelers in Arrowhead.
The snap is a good one. Ball put down, the kick is up, end over end. It is.
Hey!
Kansas City wins it. The Chiefs are going to Houston.
What a game! I can't believe it. Got the cold chills, baby.
A 21-point fourth quarter comeback in Houston for the divisional round.
Double tight ends, handoff. Marcus over the middle. First down run, 20, 6, 8, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! God, I love this game!
The only thing that stood between us and destiny, the Buffalo Bills. I was just a rookie, but walking into that stadium, I was sure we were going to the Super Bowl. Behind Marty, Joe, Marcus, Willie, Derek, and Neil.
Montana was whacked hard and is down and not getting up. Holding on to his face mask and in terrific pain.
Joe is, as I said, he is not moving.
30 years later, here we are again.
We're in hell right now. Believe me. We can stay here or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell.
And just like the last time, we're the underdogs. That's right, underdogs.
The inches we need are everywhere around us. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch.
2 rings, 2 MVP trophies, and, well, 13 seconds.
The kick is good! It's going to overtime. Oh my gosh, this is the most perfect quarterback play maybe ever. I mean, this is unbelievable back and forth. To the end zone for the win! He caught it! Ball game! Chiefs to the championship game!
It's time to right the wrongs of 1994.
Look into his eyes! Now I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you. Hell yeah. You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're gonna do the same for him.
It's time to hit him in the mouth. It's time for payback.
When we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing.
Chiefs, Bills, Sunday night in Buffalo on 610 Sports Radio and 106.5 The Wolf. Hit somebody in the freaking mouth.
I'm not afraid.
That's right, Danon Hughes, of course, played in that 1994 game. He was on our show yesterday, fired up, talking about what it was like to be in Buffalo, and the Chiefs do have a chance to win in Buffalo on Sunday night and drop Josh Allen to 0-3 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs as well. And to talk more about this matchup, we go and welcome in our Chiefs insider from Arrowhead Pride, Pete Sweeney, who today, because of that, I'll be honest,
Pete Sweeney.
we can still bring this to you.
Pete Sweeney. You get 2 intros.
Pete Sweeney.
Pete Sweeney. Pete Sweeney. Pete Sweeney. Pete Sweeney. Pete Sweeney.
Still had to get that to you today. What's going on, Pete? Of course, Pete
Thank
Sweeney.
you for playing both intros. I was about to start with not that Danon thing wouldn't make you want to run through a wall, but this being a revenge game for the Chiefs, that is a a little bit of a stretch, I think.
Yeah.
But I'll take it. I guess I'll take it.
Yeah, I think for the guys that played in '94, right? But I think that the Chiefs have. Look, they haven't won a playoff game in Buffalo. I guess that's fair. But yes, the Chiefs have gotten the Bills in the postseason and certainly have had the better end for quite some time. As Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride is presented by Mark Ferguson, the attorney that's been helping KC sports fans with all of their legal needs since 1996. Integrity Results, that's Mark Ferguson. We were talking a lot about the new injury news out of Buffalo and 4 different players ruled out. How do the Chiefs look heading in? It seems like they're really healthy.
Yeah, I think the only concern right now is for a really, what's considered a run-stopping role player in Derek Nottie. But, as far as the rest of the team goes, looking pretty good and healthier than the Bills for sure. That's going to be an advantage going into this game. And, I know that folks are wondering about Wanye Morris, and I tend to think even if he was perfectly healthy this week, he seems to have suffered a setback of sorts yesterday. I tend to think it might be Donovan Smith anyway. So you're okay there. And then, again, role players right now for the Chiefs. The preseason number 1 wide receiver, Kadarius Toney, I think could play in this game. Same thing with Justin Ross, but these guys would be in the 5 to 10 snap range, if anything, maybe building a few plays for these guys.
With the Bills' injuries, specifically where they are, Pete, I mean, maybe I'm just being a Chiefs homer. They seem specifically bad for Buffalo against what the Chiefs have been doing well, which is running it with Isaiah Pacheco, running crossers with Rashee Rice, and just, having Travis Kelce.
Yeah, after last game, I've been calling Rashee Rice Mr. Drag Route. I mean, he's just very, very dangerous across the middle when you get it to him in space, and he can find a way to juke and jive up the field for yards after the catch. Same thing with Pacheco. And the middle of the defense right now against these Chiefs that are living in the intermediate on offense, you want to be a strength. And this is where the Bills, kind of for the second week in a row, because we saw that with the Dolphins as well, are going to be weak where the Chiefs have been good offensively, which certainly plays into their hands.
Do you think that means they'll actually honor it and give it to Isaiah Pacheco for a second consecutive game? We've seen that few in the Andy Reid era.
No. This is going to be Clyde, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, getting the next guy. Morrow make his return. No, I think they have finally figured it out. I mean, I really do. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here. You could tell from the snap counts last week, it was by far Rashee Rice and Justin Watson, not as explosive or impactful as Rashee Rice, but at least knows the playbook and can run the rest. I mean, that's the Andy Reid offense, right? Every route is built into what you're trying to accomplish, and every route is important, even if you're not getting the football. Travis Kelce makes that point all the time, which is why you're seeing Watson get a lot of those snaps. So I tend to think they've learned over now 18 games what works on offense, and I think they'll lean in again.
It seems like, Pete, in that locker room, and you're in that locker room after every game and during the week after practices talking to the guys, that L'Jarius Sneed in his performance this year, that the other guys on defense, the fact that he's been a Pro Bowl snub or an All-Pro snub or other receivers around the league maybe are disrespecting him, it seems like the rest of the team is using that as motivation as well, even though it's not, it's one of their teammates. It's not them individually.
Yeah, and good for them to get up about something. I mean, I'm sure that the offense has plenty of motivation from what you're seeing around the league once again when it comes to comparing the quarterback position. I know I've seen this week. I'm sure you guys have too. Patrick Mahomes' personal trainer, Bobby Stroop, is just tweeting out anything he finds to motivate the offense. And, I was poking fun at the opening montage, but, that's real. Players are always looking for reasons to get a little bit extra because when you get to the NFL level, everyone is so good that we always see the comparison. What would Alabama look like against the worst team in the league? They would get killed because these are NFL players. So you look for any edge, and I think in this in particular, they're rallying around L'Jarius Sneed. They don't like that he is not getting the credit he deserves. I think from a team messaging standpoint, you're seeing that a little bit from even the social media team, like putting the L'Jarius mic'd up and kind of alluding to the fact that he was snubbed. Kudos to Peyton Manning for getting a coach's pick for Snead to make a Pro Bowl. Hopefully if things work out, the Chiefs won't have to worry about that, right? But yeah, I think they're all kind of ticked off about Snead and the lack of acknowledgement.
Looking back at the last game, I know that Buffalo is more injured on defense, but they've got pretty much their full complement of offensive players before. It was James Cook that got the better of them. What do you think Spag's plan will be to make sure he doesn't have, I think it was like 80 yards receiving and even more on the ground?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to identify, when they give him quick looks and screen looks. And Chiefs have been good about that when they know it's in the game plan of sniffing these things out. It's tough to get the Chiefs on the same thing twice, just because I think you give them film and Spags can work with that. This is I kind of see this as a defensive matchup, more so than, we're used to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, more so than them going at it as far as like who's going to get to 31st. I think it's who's going to get more stops. And for me, the key to the game, and you can make this case for a lot of games, but this one in particular, like I think if there are turnovers in this game, which I imagine there'll be at least one or two, if one team wins the turnover battle, these teams are so close that I think that's going to make the edge. So, when you get back to Cook, if you can know when or have an idea of when they're going to be trying to dish it to him quick, maybe you can jump that route and put it up for 6, because that'll make a huge difference in the game.
You've seen Josh Allen in a lot of these playoff games. Pete, he turns it over statistically way less in the postseason. I know he's a turnover machine generally, but he in the postseason has taken care of the ball a little bit better. I think sometimes we don't give Josh Allen the credit for being kind of a gamer in the postseason. He's 5-1 in the postseason when not facing Mahomes. He just happens to be 0-3 against the guy who's better than him.
Yeah. I mean, I just think generally, and take away the postseason numbers, I think there's a wide spectrum for Josh Allen, and I'm talking a really wide spectrum. You see a player a lot of times who looks like a top 5 quarterback, maybe the best quarterback in the NFL, and then there are other games where he turns the ball over early, kind of tail spins, and turns into one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. That's where I think the Chiefs win with Mahomes. Maybe they are on the same level in some games, but I think the worst that you ever really get from Patrick Mahomes is like an okay, maybe slightly below average day. He doesn't really lose a game for you, where I think Josh Allen can. And so it's hard to control this, right? But if you can manage an early turnover against Josh Allen, an early interception, I think you can get into his head that way, early fumble even. And I think that's the difference. Maybe it hasn't happened in the postseason, but we've seen too many times in too many big games where Allen unravels, and I think he's susceptible to that in this game.
We've brought up the tackles so much this whole week and really all season, right? But when you're going on the road and you are dealing with this, not being able to have any verbal communication, you're talking about silent counts. If you're Jawan Taylor, who you've struggled with false start penalties and holding calls and all that, how concerned are you about that? Because I don't believe the Dolphins were able to even try to take advantage at all of these tackles that have been inconsistent this year based off of their personnel, whereas the Bills have the personnel. How much of a factor do you think that is, and do you think the Chiefs can actually hold up?
Yeah, it's much easier to have that be a factor when you're the home team. I mean, the Chiefs haven't really had to worry about that as much in the playoffs. I think Jawan probably needs a retooling a little bit, retraining in the offseason to maybe stop having so many consistent false start penalties, especially. I mean, I guess the block in the back, you can fix it. But
that wasn't his fault.
He
got shoved.
Yeah. I think it's going to be tough. And for me, like me personally, like I'm in my mind allowing Jawan 2 penalties. If you can get out of the game where Taylor only has 2 penalties, I think you take that as a win. I think it's going to be tough in this environment, and it's certainly a great point because he has struggled with that all year. And I was just talking about how Allen can kind of get into his own head. We've seen early in games if Taylor takes a penalty, sometimes that becomes a thing of the game. So you want him to have a first couple solid drives where that's not an issue, but that is a certain concern. Not to say Taylor isn't a good player, but I do tend to think he almost needs to get to the offseason. Like we sometimes say, get to the locker room, get to the end of the round. He needs to get to the offseason to maybe get a retooling or retraining, and maybe these penalties will be less next year.
When we look at across, because we were just asking, that's like, do those worry you or do the drops worry you? Because that's obviously been a consistent thing too. Why just specifically with Travis Kelce do you think the drops have become a thing this year? Like, it's not been like a consistent problem in his career. He dropped 3 passes last week, even though he was great outside of that. What has it been about the drops for Kelce?
Yeah, I think he's just looking up to the sweet area. No, I think the
don't put this on Taylor.
No, I think the problem sometimes is like we are always looking for a reason. I think sometimes guys just have bad outings, and I know that the drops have been there. I also think there might be a mentality of Kelce where maybe he is getting the ball less this year. He is seeing extra coverage. He had the injury to start the year, so maybe he was like a little slower. He, of course, is 34, 35 years old in a league where 25 and 26-year-olds thrive. And maybe he's looking up the field a little too quickly before, he just makes sure to secure the football, fundamental type of stuff. That's not a worry. I mean, these drops to me are more outliers and something that is going to cost the Chiefs, in the postseason. He's the guy who really locks in. I mean, you guys just played the clip. He was the one who caught the big pass to get in field goal range. The last time these guys were in a postseason game was able to secure a really tough catch, I thought, in the end zone in that overtime. And so I feel all right about Travis. I mean, I just think it's one of those days. He had one of those days, unfortunately for him. The rest of the team picked him up, and he was able to still have nice production even with the drops.
How do you see this game just playing out? I mean, we know 2017 in Week 14 was the final score when the Bills won. The Chiefs have really only scored in the 30s, 3 times this entire season. What kind of game is it? Is this going to be fourth quarter, it's like 17-14? Or do you think we actually do see an old school back and forth?
Yeah. Talking in your terms, Al, I like the under.
Okay.
I like the team with the points. I just think this is like a coin flip type of game. I really do. I think this is, you play it 100 times, it's probably around 50 wins for each team, 10 times 5 wins for each team, and it's going to be who doesn't make the critical error. That's kind of how I feel. I know this is the Chiefs and the Bills and Mahomes and Allen. I wouldn't be stunned if it is 17-14, just because I just think the defenses are the best part of this game. I know that the Bills have found late season offensive success, but they're going up against the best defense in the league. We all think that. The Chiefs offense is probably the weaker part of the team. Sean McDermott is going to have a good plan. Spagnuolo was complimenting him this week, and you may manage a certain amount of points. The Chiefs, they've been admitted to, they're not going to go for it as much or risk it because they know their defense is so good. So it all kind of plays into this being one of those grinded out games, and I think it's whoever blinks first. I hate to say that, but I really feel that way. I think one big play, one big turnover is probably going to make the difference of whether the Chiefs win or the Bills win.
Our Chiefs insider never blinks, that's for sure. Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride. We appreciate
John
you.
Wick all of a sudden.
He is. He joined us twice this week. It's the playoffs. That's why he was on the show twice this week. Hopefully we'll talk to you a couple times next week and be discussing a 6th straight AFC title game.
Yeah, I got to get some eye drops. My eyes are starting to hurt. I haven't blinked.
There you go. Pete Sweeney. He joins us courtesy of Mark Ferguson, the attorney that's been helping KC sports fans with all of their legal needs since 1996. Integrity Results. That's Mark Ferguson. Yeah, we'll have time during the 1 o'clock hour for our final game flow prediction and score and all that. Harold Kuntz will join us during Club 610. I think I'm not saying we're getting 38-35. But
I don't think we're getting that.
But I also don't think it's 14-7. I think it's still in the 20s, both teams, when it's all said and done. But
what's the over-under?
What was it? That's a great question. I do not have the correct answer. 43.5, maybe?
I thought you just had that on the tip of your
No,
tongue.
I don't, because I didn't really look at the total this week. I don't like the total. How
could you know you don't like it if you didn't look at it?
Because I think
45.5.
It's not a game in which I have a good feel on from that perspective. I like the Chiefs to cover the spread. I like the Pacheco props. We've gone over those. But, 45.5 for the total. Pete likes the under. I mean, I kind of told you. I don't want to spoil off air. I told you my score, and my score would be over.
Somebody pointing out that Kelsey's hands were all cut and cracked on New Heights. They're thinking maybe some split skin due to the extreme cold weather.
We've all got dry skin right now. All got that dry skin going. The hands are dry. Hands are dry.
Get some lotion on it?
I've been using the chapstick a lot.
I'm using chapstick a lot. I'm really bad about remembering to use the lotion until it's later.
Yeah, I'm bad at the chapstick's a must though. The chapstick is a must. You got to go with the chapstick. Yeah, as far as the lotion on the hands, I'm bad about that. It's not good.
You might remember we had a random question when I said, "What is the thing you're brand loyal to for the rest of your life?" And I told you Burt's Bees.
So you know what?
Chapstick. That's it. That's the only chapstick I'm using for the rest of my life.
The original chapstick is what I use because I've tried using Burt's Bees.
Chapstick brand chapstick?
Chapstick.
Wow, okay.
The Burt's Bees, I've used it and it feels good when you put it on, but it did not. I don't know if I overdid. It actually did not solve the long-term problem. It helped in the moment.
I've never had that issue.
It helped in the moment, but it didn't. So I switched back to the original chapstick. No problems. One use and we're good.
Interesting. So that's it for life now.
I'm loyal to chapstick. The actual, it's like Kleenex, chapstick. Just chapstick.
I'm loyal to original Burt's Bees.
Very important stuff here as we're talking about the cold weather in Kansas City. It is miserable outside today.
It's going to be cold in Buffalo again. I think so much of what we're talking about, a lot of us have a very similar feel for this game that Pete's talking about, which is, hey, this game feels like it's likely to come down to the one team to do it. Matter of fact, I posted a video on our social media page today, Gold, in which you say, I think that you said the exact sentence as Pete just said, which is, I think this is a coin flip game.
Yeah.
We all feel like it's going to come down to that one red zone possession, that one decision on fourth down, that one turnover that both teams have been really guilty of, the wrong penalty. It just feels like that one thing might be the thing that we have to talk about for 4 hours on Monday, good or bad, for both teams. I don't feel different than Pete or than you in that regard. That feels like the closeness of the two matchups. I also think 50-50 is a good way to describe this game, in which I think both teams, I told you, are near carbon copies of each other. Now I'm just wondering, because of the Bills' injuries, whether or not I should be favoring them a different way.
Trash of the day.
All right, let's get to this one. It has to do with sports, but a scenario or two, it would be amazing to be in this spot. So we actually go overseas, where there was a fan watching a soccer match in England, okay? There's a soccer club called Wolverhampton, okay? And it's the FA Cup. And he's there attending the game with his 11-year-old son. And he volunteered to fill in as the fourth official, which is the technical area. So, you know, the guy that holds up, like, the subs, right? He's got the sign, whatever you want to call it, the signboard, right? He holds it.
Yep.
And he shows everybody 5 minutes of added time or whatever. Okay. That official, because one of the assistant referees got hurt. And so he got plucked from the crowd because he's a qualified referee at the youth level. He was given a crash course on how to work the substitute board and dealt with questions from members of the Brentford, which is the other team's staff, to end the match. And so this guy was just watching the game with his kid. All of a sudden,
he's in the game?
He's all of a sudden official now. He's not making calls. He just has to make the board has to operate. But he's also dealing with the coaches yelling at him. The hardest part he said about the job is, though, when his team that he was there rooting for had a penalty that sealed a 3-2 win. And so he didn't get to celebrate. Like he said, that was the hardest part. He didn't get to cheer. Like imagine somehow you're at the Chiefs-Buffalo game, and somehow one of the officials in this weird scenario, you end up on the field. It would never happen in the NFL, but let's just pretend it could. And your team won. You would have to just be stoic.
For starters,
only in soccer, right?
Yeah. For starters, soccer and NBA are an absolute no-go. I'd die before they got to the game. They had to find a new guy. That amount of running, Gold, you'd be done. You would make it. You'd be hunched over. Healed over, just like gasping for breath.
True.
In that case. The only one I think in which I could immediately step in and do an adequate job, as in they'd be like, not bad, man. Not bad. Major League Baseball. And not behind the dish. I'm not trying to call balls and strikes.
You're just like, you're just the third base
I'm the
up or
third base
whatever,
up. How many calls am I going to have to make? Oh, was it a check swing? He's just safe all the time. Who cares?
Also,
right? Oh, no, he didn't
Cody,
do it.
though, the ball, fair, foul. You're just going to rely on replay now?
Replay will solve that problem for me. I can't safe her out in third base. I'm not making that many calls. I could be a third base umpire today. How many, honest to God, how many things am I going to be really responsible for?
There's no, I still think this would only happen, and it did happen in soccer, but it's important. He wasn't all of a sudden calling offside or anything.
Yeah.
He was just holding up the side. I can do that. I can tell me how to use the board. I can plug in, 13 to sub it in for 25. Oh, and how do I add up? There's 7. You told me we're going to add 7 minutes to that. Okay. I can show everybody the board. I can figure that out after a little while, and the coaches can yell at me to try to communicate to the official. I can handle that. But any other sport, no. Any other role, no. NBA, you're right. There's just no chance. You'd be gassed. There's no other official that is doing something that's not like the soccer one that
you
does
think
the
you can
board
handle
is,
chain gang? If
that's
I was
not
the
an
back
official
guy?
though. That's dude, chain gang I did at a junior high game once. That's not an official. I have done that one time.
You're experienced.
I've done it once, but that's not an official. You're not an official.
No, but it's kind of like the scorekeeper guy, He's not responsible for any of the calls in the game. He just has a job. To me, that's the same as being like chain gang guy,
Yeah.
You've got a job. Your job's still important.
Here's the
as
thing
long
with
as
that.
I was the guy who trailed the other guy. First guy goes out there, puts where the mark is. All I got to do is stretch the chain out and stand there.
Sometimes it gets tangled up, though. You don't want to be the guy that causes them to pause the game. I still think you see sometimes those chain gang guys will get knocked over because they're there and they're running the sideline the speed on the sideline of an NFL game or college game is just absurd. The speed is nuts, and they're running towards you. You never see the chain gang guy just bail.
No.
Right? You can't bail.
Statute.
But I would be tempted to bail. You got Chris Jones running full steam. Mahomes is running towards the sideline, and you've got Ed Oliver running full steam towards Mahomes, and he's coming towards you. I'm just dropping the chain gang and backing up. Sorry.
You're just leaving your responsibility?
I'm just dropping the chain, yeah. In junior high, it wasn't problematic. You weren't fearful.
Yeah.
280-pound Ed Oliver running towards you as Mahomes also running towards the sideline is a problem.
Again, I think I could be a Major League I've umpired baseball before. Although I didn't like the balls and strike part. I wasn't definitive enough. I thought too hard about it. You got to just react. It's either a ball or a strike, move on with your life. And sometimes I would find myself waiting that like half second to think about it. That's just no way to live.
Yeah, you talking about like the chain gains, and I think it was 3 weeks ago at the Saints game.
Oh,
where
that guy broke his leg.
The guy broke his leg.
Yeah, that thing snapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yo, you could have moved. And he just stood there.
I'm just dropping the chain gang, the what do you want to call it? The down marker, I guess, and the stick. Yeah. And I'm dropping it, and I'm getting the hell out of the way. Getting the hell out of the way.
Immediately abandoning your job.
Someone said this is true. Yeah, the hockey story. There was a great story from a couple years ago. Literally a backup goalie from the stands. And he then got to go celebrate in the locker room with the team. That was an amazing story.
I couldn't handle that.
Someone says, Gold, you should have been playing football in the junior high game. Ha, that's funny. You think I'm tall and skinny now. I was short and skinny back then. So even worse. Even worse.
That is kind of the worst size to play football, in fairness.
The only sport
short and skinny. Oh,
only sport I did in junior high was track like everybody else, right? You know, they gave me, you're running the 800 and 1600. Congratulations. One time I got lucky to do the 4x100. They must have been really short people that day. I got to hand the baton off one time, okay? That was it, right? Congrats. I was the what's
seventh
weird?
alternate.
I just realized though, I was the last leg. Is that bad or good? I was the last leg.
That's the anchor.
Should not have been that.
That's an important role.
We got second to last, by the way. But we were already last. Heading into
second to last.
Yeah. Other than that, I was doing the 800 and 1600. They just it's like, hey, you just joined the track team. Just let them run long distance, whatever.
Someone says my uncle's in the NBA, early 50s. Says the court's not that long to run. Well, he's in shape. I'm not.
Yeah, we'd be
That's
gassed.
the difference. I'm not saying if you didn't let me train for 6 months, I couldn't do it. I'm saying I'm out of shape, and that's a lot of running for someone who doesn't run much. Yeah. Also, my super bone. We're done there. I mean, how many times am I going to
the hot dog derby performance? We saw the hot dog derby performance. I told you I'm retiring from hot dog derby races. I'm done. I won and I'm quitting on top. Okay.
Never. I'll never stop racing.
You and Drew need to do it again. Drew needs a different. Give him a ketchup.
I would rather have his costume.
Yeah.
There's a huge advantage in being able to see.
Well, yes.
It turns out.
Wow, really? I didn't know that.
You can see. Watch the replay of the video. I slow up the second I think I'm getting ready to wipe out. We are neck and neck.
Yeah.
I'm closing the gap, and then I get scared. I'm going to crash, and I slow down.
Yeah. All right, that's the trash of the day. Up next, back to the Chiefs, red half hour. And one question that we always wonder heading into a game, but it, of course, matters even more for a playoff, the scenarios for wins and losses. And one thing Cody says does matter and is a real advantage for the Chiefs.
Cody and Gold. Watch the show on YouTube by subscribing to the @610 Sports KC channel. 610 Sports Radio.
The weather's cold, the snow's coming down, and then you got to start worrying about your roof. No longer, thanks to our friends over at Century Roofing. You want a company that you can trust. I keep telling you, they've been in Kansas City for 33 years. They've handled 30,000 roofs in the greater Kansas City area. Your neighbors have voted them the best roofing company in Johnson County 2 years in a row. I understand sometimes you're worried about these things, and sometimes those big projects, I've done it too, right? Where you're like, oh, God, if I get this looked at, how bad is it going to be? You don't always need a full roof replacement. Sometimes you just need repairs. They give free estimates for both, so you can find out what those problems are before they become bigger problems. Maybe in hearing that drip for a little bit, and you're like, probably not that bad. Or you saw a little spot where you thought, maybe that's a little wet from the roof. Make sure, get it looked at, and make sure it's with a company you can trust. Right now, they're running a free material upgrade promotion on all roof replacement jobs. Get a Class 3 or 4 impact-resistant shingle from Tamco for the price of a 30-year or 50-year premium shingle. They're a women-owned business, registered in the state of Kansas. Schedule your estimate today from KC Base, and I said female-owned Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength. CenturyRoofingKC.com, and tell them that Cody sent you.
The biggest winner in the big game could be you. Thanks to BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks is offering new customers a chance to score $158 in bonus bets instantly. That's right, instantly. Just download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code BETKC. Then place a $5 moneyline wager on the big game. You'll receive $158 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of your wager's outcome. Don't miss your opportunity to cross the goal line on the money line as pro football's top teams clash for the championship. Can't be in Vegas for the big game? Then bring the big game excitement to you with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. New customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Hey, it's Kling. Convenience is key these days, and that's why I love shopping at Hy-Vee. Basically a one-stop shop, including all of your pharmacy needs. I've been using them for years. They're fantastic. They're quick. They're prompt. Hy-Vee makes it easier to transfer your prescriptions. Just call or stop by your local Hy-Vee pharmacy and let them handle the rest. You can transfer online or with the Hy-Vee mobile app. Now through March 31st, earn a $1 per gallon Perks fuel discount when you transfer and fill any new prescription at your Kansas City area Hy-Vee pharmacy. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Bananas are only 39 cents a pound at Hy-Vee. That's not a sale price. That's the price with the Hy-Vee Perks membership. And 39 cents a pound is not just the price today or this week. It's the Perks price every day. With the Hy-Vee Perks membership, you can save on hundreds of products store-wide every time you shop and count on Perks prices to stay the same. So if you want to pay less for bananas every day, sign up for Hy-Vee Perks. It's free and easy. Some restrictions apply.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
There's a brand new Other Place location in Mission, Kansas, and let me tell you, it is absolutely beautiful. It is the perfect place to stop by, grab a drink after work, catch a happy hour, catch a playoff game, or watch a little college basketball. If you're looking for a place to watch the game, you got to stop by the brand new Other Place in Mission.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world, turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
When something happens to your kitchen, you might say,
"This is ludicrous."
But that won't fix your home. That will only get you the rapper, Ludacris.
Having trouble? Don't panic. Don't be alarmed. You need to file a claim? Holla at State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
That's right. You can file a claim on the app or call us.
Thanks, Mr. Chris.
No matter how ludicrous the situation, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Arvest Bank, proud supporter of your Kansas City Chiefs radio network. Arvest Bank, member FDIC. Arvest Bank, proud supporter of your Kansas City Chiefs radio network. Stop by any Arvest branch to find out why banking with Arvest and the Arvest Go mobile app makes life easier. Arvest Bank, member FDIC.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner, the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
And our NFL playoff coverage on 610 is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eat, drink, scenic views. Reminder coming up a little bit later on today. 1 o'clock hour on a Red Friday. We will have Club 610 still. Cody has promised us fantastic cocktails. I don't know if they're certainly not Buffalo themed. They better not be.
No,
I don't know
they're
what they
not
are.
Buffalo themed. Well, it's like cold and you'd all been sick, so I'm going back to whiskey from Jay Rieger. So we'll be drinking Jay Rieger whiskey sours today.
Oh, all right.
You like a whiskey
yeah.
sour?
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Okay, so I got the lemon juice. I got some simple syrup. I've got that. And I even got fancy cherries and an orange wedge for you.
When you say fancy, like just maraschino cherries?
No. The better versions of that.
There's
so like a nice jar of fancy cherries for like an old fashioned. Do you know how much they cost?
Well, I just had an old fashioned when I got my haircut the other day.
Okay, so like the really deep red ones.
Yeah.
Kind of thicker.
No, I know.
A jar of those like $14.
I mean, you do know the maraschino cherries still old school classic.
Those are also like bunker
pure
food.
sugar.
Like they may not ever process through your body. I don't know. I don't know if you can actually process a like straight red, bright red maraschino cherry.
I had an old fashioned last week, and I told you where I go to get my haircut. I don't always do it because I don't need to have an old fashioned every time I get my haircut. But anyway, it's a nice when you have some extra time and you're there a little early, and they do this great. They call it their like smoke and mirrors cocktail or whatever. Okay. And they do the smoke with the, obviously, and so you get that nice smoke flavor to the old fashioned. They use the type of cherry you're talking about. I guess is the whole reason why I brought that up.
They use the fancy ones.
Anyway, Harold Kuntz from Fox 4 in studio during Club 610 today. He'll be enjoying that with us. We'll talk about Chiefs Bills with him. One of his colleagues, Rob Collins, is actually in Buffalo as well. But when you look at this game, I think we can do this for every game anyway, which we don't unless it's a huge game, and it's always simple. The scenarios of when we're here on Monday and we're celebrating a Chiefs win, what's the story that got you there? What happened? And if we're sitting here on Monday and the worst case scenario is they lose, what's the story there? Starting if they win, because I really do think the Chiefs are winning this game in Buffalo. What are we saying went right? What are we saying the story was? One, it's obviously that Mahomes found a way to win his first road playoff game. That'll be a big part of it. But what is
his first attempt, by the way? It's not like it took him 10 years to do it.
Sure. I also don't think, though, that normally we've said, hey, you can't turn the ball over. Look, they can't have 2 or 3 turnovers. But I don't think we'll say, they didn't turn the ball over once. Now, if they don't turn the ball over at all, I think their odds of winning certainly go way, way up. It's pretty obvious there. I don't think they have to have a completely clean game on offense because of what their defense is. But I think what we're going to say is that Andy Reid was willing to, once again, lean on Isaiah Pacheco for 18-plus carries. I think it says that, once again, they were able to find ways into the red zone, and they weren't held back, actually, this time from a costly penalty, or I should say they were able to overcome it. I think that's what has to happen. I'm not worried about the defense. So, yeah, we'll say, the defense held Josh Allen to only 30-something yards rushing, and that was key. But I think the defense is locked in so much that I have my expectation. I'm not worried what the defense is not giving up 30 points to Buffalo on Sunday.
I don't think that that's the case either. So if they win, I definitely think the defense will once again be the lead story. Look at what they did. They adjusted to Cook. Stephon Diggs did nothing. The Bills scored a few points here and there, but not enough for the Chiefs offense to just come over the top. But I also think that if we're talking about a win, we'll be talking about them having run the ball well. Let's forget the number of carries for just a second, but successful in the run game. Because last week, they were successful in all areas. They had the short passing game, the medium passing game. They had shots in the deep passing game. Maybe they didn't connect, but they certainly had opportunities. And they ran the ball really well. I think that's going to be important to beat Buffalo, is if they get there, they will have run the ball really well. I think it's a really important facet for the offense. Funny enough, on the opposite side, if we're sitting here on Monday and we're saying, what happened? Pacheco got stopped, just for starters. And more than anything, they had a costly turnover at the wrong time that they couldn't overcome. I do think that this team is not equipped to come from behind still. I think if we're sitting here on Monday and we're like, the Chiefs lost to the Bills, they got down 10-0, and they clawed, scratched, and fought to get back in that game, but closing that gap was too much.
Does that apply to Buffalo too, do you think, or no? I mean, Buffalo's better on offense, but because of this Chiefs defense, isn't the same thing? I mean, can Buffalo be down 10-0 and come back on this defense? I mean, I wonder if it applies to both.
It certainly allows the Chiefs defense to pin their ears back, and when they can do that, you are in trouble more often than not. It might apply to both. And that goes back to what I had said, that these teams are really similar, but I think some of it will be, I really do think that for the Chiefs, that we'll be talking about how they had a turnover that got them down 10-0 early, and then they were close, right? They got back, or it was this, but it's just too much of a gap. They were down 13-10 and then 17-10. It was always close, but could never make up that difference for what they were down early.
I mean, I would like to think the Chiefs learned their lesson that we're not sitting here in this hypothetical of if they lose, what are we saying? That, they still got arrogant again and they tried to make Tony something he's not, and there was a mistake or something. I mean, by the way,
that'd be the most infuriating way to come in here on Monday. I'll say that.
What's the one thing that'll tick you off the most? Like losing it would suck. Everybody be bummed in Kansas City, understandably so. But if you lose and it's because you once again tried to make Tony something that he just hasn't been all year, and there was a key drop or lining up offsides or whatever, that's inexcusable at that point. Absolutely inexcusable. Dare I say, coaching malpractice, if in fact you allow that to happen to your team again after the progress I believe you have made.
Yeah, if all of a sudden what cost you a game is a Kadarius Toney end around, you'd be like, are you for real? Like, did you not learn your lesson? Because there is some of that like cutesy stuff that I would prefer not to see, and it's just like, oh, come on.
They're going to have something. Tony doesn't need to be involved in it. Like we know Andy Reid will have some look, whether it's in the red zone or whatever, and that's fine. Like that's part of what makes I'm not telling you if you're Andy Reid not to have anything up your sleeve, not at all. That's part of what makes you great. But you don't need to make Tony something he's not in a game like this. I don't know how on earth you can trust the guy. I know there's like this perfect storybook. Oh, redemption. He was the guy that cost him the game, so now we're going to give him a chance to win the game. We don't need to do that. Don't need to do that whatsoever. I don't need
star emerges and Rashee Rice instead.
I don't need to have like this perfect story for CBS with Nance and Romo on Sunday night that Kadarius Toney catches the game-winning touchdown. Like, look, if that's the game-winning touchdown, nobody's going to be upset. But like, I don't need you to risk that trying to make that happen. Yeah. If it happens, it happens. But I'm never going to
crown him the hero. He could have one big play that ends up being the game-winning touchdown because he got like a 7-yard slant.
Great.
I'm not going to be like, problem solved.
Yeah. I don't need a double reverse, though, with Kadarius Toney trying to pass the ball to Mahomes 10 yards down the field where he throws a pick. You know what I mean? I don't need that. I don't need something like that.
You want Kelsey to throw the ball again?
No.
It's been a little while.
I also don't want Kelsey even trying that lateral again. Like, don't. It probably won't work.
That was such a cool play, though.
It was so cool because it was so cool because you never see it. And if they tried that again, part of me worries that it would actually backfire because that's just usually like
it was a perfect strike. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, the chance of that thing working again, very slim. So that's the worst case scenario stuff. But back to the positive. If they win on Monday and we're sitting here, we're talking about the scenarios we did. Like, yeah, it's another dominant defensive performance where they don't. I really think
they're just in another AFC title game, regardless of the opponent or whether it's at home. And be like, oh wow, must have been really hard when the Chiefs were all down and everyone thought that this was a bad year. And where are they? One of the final 4 teams again, which is a reminder. In those 5 AFC title games, the Chiefs either go to the Super Bowl or lose in overtime. They've never even lost in 4 quarters of play.
That is true.
In an AFC title game. They go to the bitter damn end of every season, no matter what. And it'll feel that way if they beat Buffalo on Sunday.
I think, is there a yardage number for, Allen's mobility? We talked to Brian Boldinger about
50,
this, that the
60.
Chiefs did a great job on him the first go-around. And, the Bills, yes, will have adjustments. So what is Spags' adjustment? Could it be a case early in the game that Josh Allen actually is able to run the ball a little bit? Then what's the adjustment? I do think having Drew Tranquill and then a healthy Nick Bolton changes everything there. You were saying that you think he gets 50 yards or so rushing. Is that what you're saying? The key is not even probably the yardage amount. Like, he could have 55 yards rushing throughout the game. But did you avoid the 17-yard scramble late in the game to convert a 3rd and 15? Something like that.
It's a little bit, and it's also a little bit like when you're playing the Philadelphia Eagles, the way we talk about Jalen Hurts is it's really important against a team like Buffalo, not for them to be in 3rd and 2 a lot, and because then Josh Allen's legs are just auto first downs, man. They are. They're just automatic first downs. Oh, it's 3rd and 2? I don't really. If that's on the plus side of the 50, that's over.
Is there a way?
That's the first one way or the other.
I do wonder if there's a way to stop. I told you, if dummy me can notice it just watching games, I can promise you the Chiefs would notice it.
Goes left?
He always goes left, man. He always goes left on the tush push. There's got to be something we can do here, okay?
You sound like a middle school basketball coach when he's talking about a kid in the layup line. Kid always goes left.
I know.
If he's off the dribble, he goes left every time.
Again, I don't know what you can do. Again, I'm not smart enough to figure that out, and obviously they're well aware of it. But, he always goes left on the tush push. You're telling me, is there something you can do there?
Can they beat Mr. January?
Make him go right. Make him go right, Cody.
I still think that that's an insult. I stand by the fact calling someone Mr. January is an insult when the Super Bowl's played in February. You don't want to. Yeah. Reggie Jackson didn't want to be called Mr. August. That doesn't mean anything. Reggie Jackson was Mr. October when the World Series played.
Do you think
you don't want to be Mr. January?
Do you think he said do you think is Romo going to say that again? It's going to be the fourth quarter here comes Mr. January, Jim.
I had a moment, and this is again where I think eventually they'll have a problem with Tony Romo on the broadcast. I had a moment in the last game. Which game was he? Was he on the Steelers game? He's on the Steelers game this previous weekend against Buffalo. And I had a moment with Romo. I'm like, why would you admit that? He's in the middle of calling the game, and the Steelers are moving the ball. He's like, I'll be honest. I didn't realize they had two really good running backs. Hadn't really watched them much this year. I'm like,
1-2 punch.
Why are you saying this out loud? Your only job was to study this one game this week. You should know that they have two good running backs.
That didn't bug me as much as I think after a while when in the first 5 minutes of the game, when you say Jim about 75 times.
Jim.
That's what's more annoying than maybe he doesn't know as much about the team. Like deep down, did that really impact? Like you knew it. Did it really impact you? Like how that he didn't know that they used Jalen Warren and Najee
but
Harris.
it's just one of those I think that's where sometimes his analysis has gotten a bit lazy, where he's not giving the information he did before. We talked about this. CBS essentially he's not scouting these teams anymore from a quarterback standpoint. That's when he used to kind of know what was coming.
Because he was a year removed from the league. Now that offenses have changed, it's a little bit tougher. I think
he might say Mr. January.
It's not just a Kansas City thing. Every city does this when they watch their team play. Again, that's why you should be listening to the game on 106.5 The Wolf and then have the TV on, TV on and the volume down on the TV. But I think people are always very critical of it. Everybody thinks that announcer hates their team. I
don't think Romo hates the Chiefs.
I text my mom about this too because she'll be like, I can't stand blank announcer, and I'm like, I can't get angry enough about it.
No.
It's not something that bugs me enough. This goes back to the Buck stuff during the World Series run. Overall, the announcer doesn't truly. There's only a few announcers I've ever thought maybe slightly dislikes the team. I told you back in the day, Randy Cross or whatever. I used to think he hated the Chiefs. He used to do games on CBS. I used to think Randy Cross couldn't stand that. I used to Dan Fouts. I used to think kind of couldn't stand the Chiefs.
Well,
That's
it
about
would make sense.
And they played,
that he couldn't stand the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly. Randy Cross was one of the announcers that wasn't as big of a fan of. But they're deep down, they're not thinking that way.
Let's all agree that if he, for some reason, says Mr. January again, we all have to share a video on Twitter taking a shot. We all got to take a shot if he utters the word Mr. January again, because he was really trying to make that thing happen last year.
He might do it again.
It's possible.
But it's definitely we know we're guaranteed to get the Jim, this is what it's all about. Or it's going to be one of those in the fourth quarter with 2.5 minutes to go.
I will say this: I like energy better than the people that are standing out there, and it seems like they're staring at a cardboard box the way they're announcing the game. So I'll at least take that. You know what's interesting about Allen to me that I feel like maybe sometimes he doesn't get enough credit for because he keeps losing to Patrick Mahomes. He's better in the postseason than he is in the regular season. You do not say that about very many quarterbacks. He's played in 9 postseason games. So normally, based on Josh Allen's career, you'd think that means he'd turned it over 9 times. No. He only has 4 interceptions in his entire postseason career. He has 20 touchdowns. He has tons of yardage. He averages, 270, 280 per game in the air. His yards per attempt are better than his career average. His touchdown to interception ratio better than his career average. He's tough in the postseason. He does scare me from what you're talking about because just better in those roles.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is why the game is great on Sunday. I mean, these are 2 future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They've gone back and forth. Mahomes has got the better of Josh Allen in the postseason. We know Josh Allen in the regular season has gotten the better of Patrick Mahomes, but they both elevate. The great ones do, right? The great quarterbacks elevate their game when their backs are against the wall, and both quarterbacks have their back against the wall. It's a lose and you go home game, so they're both in that same spot. There's more pressure, I still do believe, on Josh Allen. I know the 100%. Expectation in Kansas City is still to go win Super Bowls, but when you're Josh Allen, you finally get your chance to beat him at your own building, and you haven't been to a Super Bowl yet, and you've lost this guy every time in the playoffs, that's pressure for you. And Patrick Mahomes, I mean, I think it was Scott Kaczmar who put out, Mahomes, you mentioned the numbers being better for Allen in the postseason. We know they certainly are for Mahomes, and he compared to some of the greats. I'm trying to find the exact numbers. Here it is. He compared on the road. So Mahomes, we know he raises his completion percentage by 2.5 points. Yards per attempt for Mahomes go up by almost a yard. Yep. Passer rating goes up by 5.7. And
he throws more picks, but he throws more touchdowns.
He takes fewer sacks. He does have his sack number go up slightly. And Scott was looking at this, and he said that it's not even normal for most quarterbacks, even first ballot Hall of Famers. So Drew Brees, at home, his passer rating was actually 10 points higher than on the road. Rodgers, his passer rating, 9 points higher. His yards per attempt were better at home. Manning had a better home passing number, passer rate, and yards per attempt at home. Mahomes is one of the few that has better numbers on the road than home. And we're talking about Brady. I mean, we're talking about Brady, Manning, Rodgers, Brees, all first ballot Hall of Famers, and they were better in their building than on the road. And yet Mahomes, who's great at Arrowhead, is even better on the road. So
I think it's part of it's the way he's wired. I think a lot of this is just like the way Mahomes operates is that Michael Jordan aspect of like he takes it all personally. That is very much him. I don't remember which offensive lineman it was for the Bills this week. It was like, well, he's never played in Buffalo with fans, so good luck, Patrick. You're like, that's the wrong person to say that to. Say that to any other member of the Kansas City Chiefs before you say it to Patrick Mahomes. It is wild that he's better on the road. That's just not supposed to be the case. But he's also, as you know, the most winning quarterback of all time by a mile from a win percentage standpoint, went down double digits. Straight up, you're down double digits. You're supposed to lose a football game. He has a winning record. Nobody else has a winning percentage that is even 400. Tom Brady's like 350 all time. Now, look, he didn't get down 10 points very often. Kudos to him. But when he did, like every quarterback when they get down 10 points, lose the football game. He's won 2 Super Bowls in which he was down 2 points, 10 points or more. He won an entire playoff run where they were down 10 points or more in every single game and still won it. I just think he operates a little bit different when his back's against the wall. Like he does have another level.
The
when
greats,
it's
the greats
road,
do it, man.
That.
The greats do it, and as we said, he's actually been better than the guys we consider first ballot or will be first ballot Hall of Famers. He's better on the road in these spots too, and that's not saying he's bad at home. It speaks to where he's at. I do think you see players embrace that are at that level, and he's one of them. And I think both quarterbacks, by the way, are going to play great. I would be stunned if either. Like I know Josh Allen turns the ball over more. I'm sure Josh Allen's going to play phenomenal. Now the Chiefs' defense, I still think, can limit them in the red zone, but I don't think Josh Allen's going to be a disaster. If he is, and then, of course the Chiefs are for sure winning. But I expect both quarterbacks to just play at an extremely high level. How can you not on Sunday?
No, I mean every matchup's kind of gone that way. Again, that's where we come back to that coin flip thing. It's who can avoid the mistake at the wrong time. Both of these teams have been guilty of that at different points this year. So it's, will they avoid it this time? Chiefs avoided it in the first game. Bills avoided the heartbreaking stuff in the first game as well, although they were certainly way outside of the class of the Steelers. I still think it's funny. I don't remember what it was. I think it was maybe Jason McIntyre this week. Again, the national stuff sometimes is like, did you even pay attention? Be like, Chiefs haven't blown out anyone all year. And I'm like, they blew out the Dolphins last week. 19 points in the NFL is a blowout. I don't know how to, just straight up, that's a blowout, right? Against a playoff team?
Yes.
A team that won 10 or 11 games? That's a blowout.
Again, it goes back to judging them based on what they were offensively a year or so ago. And that's why it's been such a bizarre year for people. Like, the team is still won 11 games and still won the division. They're still in the divisional round. They ended up as the 3 seed instead of a 1 or a 2 seed. And it's because we've talked about this all year. It's looked different. It's because they have the best defense in football, and they got an offense that's, fringe top 10. That's why it's different. And so because of that, you just assume, well, they just can't get it done. Teams throughout potential dynasties, like the Patriots, found different ways to win along the way.
Same Super Bowl wasn't the same win every year.
And if the Chiefs were to win on Sunday and eventually get to a Super Bowl by winning an AFC title game again, they would have done it in a different way. It is a credit to, frankly, the way they've built this team. I know there's plenty of issues with the wide receiver room, but if they're able to still get there with this, it speaks to how deep the 53-man roster is as a whole. And you still do have Mahomes, even if statistically it's his worst year. Yeah, he still, in some ways, has actually had a better year than he's had in some other years because of what other quarterback would be in the same spot with some of the issues they've had on offense?
Tom Brady won multiple rings when his unit was not the better unit.
3 of his rings were when Bill Belichick's defense was just clearly the best in football, just running circles around everybody. That's what it's looking like this year could be. If the Chiefs were to get to a Super Bowl, that's what this year would be. It'd be one of those 3 type of years that Tom Brady had. All right, coming up next here on a Red Friday, brought to you by ComCare. Call or text 988 for 24/7 mental health support. We'll get to what's trending. We'll also get into all 32 because there are some big-time matchups around the league. Next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every weekday starting at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
We're talking with Dr. Chris Hettinger, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. Tell us what sets KCUC apart from other urology practices.
The things that make us stand out are the technology at our disposal, the quality of the surgeons, and the experience from years and years of robotic surgery.
KCUC was the first to bring robotic surgery to Kansas City, right?
We performed the first robotic surgery in Kansas City in 2003 and continue to perform hundreds of urologic robotic surgeries in the Kansas City metro area every year. Robotic surgery offers less blood loss, shorter hospitalization, less pain, shorter recovery period. After robotic surgery, many of my patients get back to work within a week or two. For abdominal surgery, it's revolutionized what we've done.
From problems urinating to sexual function to prostate cancer, see the experts. Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
Hey there, I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. Chances are, if you bought a car in the last 12 months, you now owe a lot more than that's worth. Don't stay upside down. Let's get you into a better situation.
Come and see us just off I-470 in Colburn Road or visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
If you or someone you know is suicidal or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides connection to free confidential support. There is hope. The Lifeline works. For 24/7 support, just call, text, or chat 988. Sponsored by ComCare and Rediscover.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Wholesale batteries for all your battery needs. Lithium batteries for your motorcycle and ATVs. Lithium has superior power density with a longer life when compared to lead acid. Speak with Wholesale Batteries today on how you can benefit from lithium batteries.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text BODY to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text BODY to 321-321. That's BODY to 321-321.
I'm Mitch Holtis, voice of the Chiefs. Everyone develops cataracts naturally as they get older. When your vision is affected by cataracts, you should see my doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein at Silverstein Eye Centers. Dr. Silverstein is a world-renowned cataract surgeon who performs life-changing laser-assisted cataract surgery with premium lens implants to correct your vision up close and far away. Trust my eye doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein, Silverstein Eye Centers, 816-358-3600 to schedule an appointment.
The Home Depot makes it easy to shop and save on appliances in-store and online. Enjoy savings on top brands like GE, LG, Frigidaire, Whirlpool, and more. Find kitchen appliances with helpful features like customized organization, and save time with laundry appliances that have faster wash and dry cycles. Final days to get up to $450 off select appliances at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid January 4 through 24. Gas ranges and dryers extra. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Kelley Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling, and instant cash offering. Instant Cash Offer is exactly what it sounds like. An official offer to buy or trade your car. Just enter your VIN or license plate, answer a few questions about your car's history, and what kind of condition it's in. In minutes, you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fair. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car and schedule a time to meet. For all of the its, KBB.com.
At Granger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgranger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
NFL playoff coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Hey, it's Willie Gay Jr. You're listening to the official broadcast partner of the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
An update from the Chiefs heading into Sunday's game. Our Pete Sweeney out at Chiefs facility today said, of the players on the Chiefs injury report, Wanye Morris, Derek Nottie, the only 2 players not working Friday. He also did not see, he just actually edited his tweet. I apologize. He says Sky Moore also he did not see at that point. Doesn't mean he's not practicing, but at least during the media portion, no Wanye Morris, Derek Nottie, or Sky Moore. All signs continue to point, and I'm fine with it, that Donovan Smith will start at left tackle. Derek Nottie, against a team that wants to run, I would have rather had him out there. As far as Sky Moore, again, you and I have talked about this. I'm fine with him not even being tempted to play Sky or Tony. We'll see. But that's where things are at. Otherwise, the Chiefs, very healthy heading into the game.
Yeah, a little backtrack for Wanye, but again, that eliminates the question about it other than what had happened. You'd rather have Wanye available just in case something happened in the game,
depth.
obviously. You'd rather happen, so you hope that he's still available, but that might not be the case. As you'd mentioned, the Bills are missing a bunch of players. Bunch gave the Chiefs injury update. Terrell Bernard won't practice again today. He's questionable about whether or not they're going to see how he looks on Saturday before deciding. And yeah, Rapp, Gabe Davis, Christian Benford, and Balin Spector all out for the Buffalo Bills. Next up on What's Trending, FIFA has announced it will put out their full 2026 World Cup match schedule on February 4th. So you'll find out how many matches KC is getting and at which times and dates those games will be. Now, they're not full in the qualifying process, so you won't know.
Yeah, we don't know if Brazil's headed here.
You're getting. You don't know if it's Ecuador, Brazil, whatever. Mexico and Canada both get into, right? Because
automatically, I think,
they were a group bid on that end. You don't know who, but at least you'll know when the matches will be and how many matches Casey's going to get coming up on February 4th.
Yeah, that's exciting. Still 2 years out, but it's exciting. The next thing you know, we'll be a year out, and we'll be getting excited for what that is going to be like in Kansas City. Next up on What's Trending, college basketball, all 3 locals in action coming up tomorrow. KU's at West Virginia at 3. K-State hosting the Oklahoma State Cowboys, 6 o'clock. That's right here on 610 Sports Radio. And then Missouri at Florida, also at 6. All 3 local schools. K-State coming off that big overtime win against Baylor. KU handled Oklahoma State earlier in the week, and then Missouri coming off a loss at Alabama.
I did really like Bill Self's comments the other day. He's like, I didn't really know what to expect the new look Big 12 to look like with those 4 teams in there. He's like, it's a dogfight.
Oh,
like, every single week is nuts. Next up on What's Trending, Alabama. You might know they lost their head coach, Nick Saban.
I've heard of that.
Well, now they're getting some of the downside of that. Their freshman recruit, Julian Sand, to enter the transfer portal. He was the 3rd-ranked player in the entire 2024 class. 5-star quarterback. Now open to go to any team in the rest of the country. That's not surprising. These kind of things will happen a lot. I did see. It was the most, world's tiniest violin moment ever. This, big Alabama, board, right? Message board. They're like, the NCAA's got to step in here. Alabama can't fix their problems while everyone's plucking their roster. This system's unfair. And I was like, oh, we do not feel bad for Alabama at all. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
No one feels bad for Alabama.
Absolutely not. Yeah. You know how many guys they have gotten to come in and transfer and all. Yeah, please, give me a break.
Ripping the carcasses off of Oregon. How the entire conference plucked apart and pulled apart conferences. Now you're worried about one team, maybe losing a couple of players? Give me a break. They'll replace them. They're Alabama.
Next up on What's Trending, Mark Andrews, the talented tight end for the Ravens, who had been practicing this week. Ian Rappaport says he is not expected to play for the Ravens when they take on the Texans tomorrow afternoon. We know at this point, looking like maybe he could be ready for the AFC title game. That requires the Ravens to beat the Texans. We'll talk more about those matchups coming up right after What's Trending.
Lastly, on What's Trending, big news in the sports world. You might remember not that long ago, Sports Illustrated had sold to a different parent company, the brand that you and I both knew a lot as kids. There's reports out there that they might be laying off their entire staff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just not like, oh, they're making some changes. The News Guild, which handles one of the unions that handles the work for SI, says that there's been some stuff circling around there that have been there. Adam Schefter tweeted about it about 30 minutes ago. It said, at its peak, Sports Illustrated was an institution. It covers and coverage were legendary. So much great work was done there, and now it's the end. A horrible day for the employees that work there. They might be letting go of their entire staff at Sports Illustrated.
It's been going downhill for a while, unfortunately. And, yeah, it is sad because you're right. SI used to, I mean, let's be honest, used to mean something, right? Like, it used to
being on the cover of Sports Illustrated was
a
really
big deal.
Something.
You know, SI, you'd always get the SI after, you know, after the Royals won the World Series. I still, like a lot of you here, I mean, I have that commemorative SI issue from when the Royals won, the Zach Greinke one. I mean, I still have, like, yeah, I mean, I have the last SI cover I think I kept, other than the Royals World Series. I think I have one from the first Super Bowl in this era for the Chiefs. And then I have like a Bobby Witt Jr. on the cover one that was signed. That's it. But that was always a big deal. Like, and I know we can make the joke about the SI swimsuit edition and all that, but like that, you know, that's
you don't have the Martha one from last year?
I don't have the updated ones. But it's sad to see SI. I mean, I even had SI Kids as a kid. Like the SI had a version of the for kids, and yeah. And if you look, you and I know some people in the industry that work there.
Yeah, it's really terrible.
That's bad news. And it's now actually, I'll call it official. I mean, ABC News just put it out like 8 seconds ago that, the publisher Sports Illustrated has terminated most of its staff in a mass layoff, a union representative confirmed. So it's not speculation anymore. I mean, it's unfortunately happening. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Coming up at 1 o'clock, Club 610, Red Friday on the show. We'll have Harold Kuntz from Fox 4 joining us in studio. I mentioned Mark Andrews not expected to play for the Ravens. We know we were talking plenty Chiefs. We'll get right back to them, I promise you. But divisional round weekend is one of the better weekends, not only in the NFL, but let's get to that. Maybe, JT, we can get a little music behind it here in a second, too. Because
just any generic, it feels like there'd be like, in the frozen tundra. That kind of music.
Yeah, something like that.
NFL films.
You know, something like that. Let's start with that Texans-Ravens game. That's the one that impacts the Chiefs potentially, whether or not the Chiefs could be playing for a chance to host an AFC title game or go on the road. The Ravens, 9.5-point favorites against the Houston Texans. Look, nobody thought C.J. Stroud was going to be in this spot, so that storyline is incredible in its own right. And then for Lamar, man, you want to talk about pressure. You're going to be the MVP again, so it's going to be your second MVP, and we know you have not had playoff success. In fact, in prior years, when he has made the playoffs in 3 games, all 3 of the playoff games were their season's lowest offensive output. So is this a different era for Lamar Jackson? They obviously have different pieces than they did in some of those other matchups, but that'll be the story. I think the Ravens win this game. The Texans, to me, do keep it close, as in plus 9.5. But there's a lot of pressure on Lamar. Can you imagine what the story will be again if he loses? We all know what it'll be. It'll say, that's great, Lamar. You're incredible in the regular season. Out of this group of talented top 5 quarterbacks, you're the guy that can't win in the playoffs. That'll be what people say if he doesn't win against Houston.
Every multi-time winner. That felt tense.
I was wondering what we were
getting.
God,
we needed that in the beginning. I thought it was going to go a different way. All right, so of the multi, and you can turn it down just a little, JT. Of the NFL MVP winners, they all have at least one Super Bowl title. Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Maybe Jim Brown doesn't. He won an MVP a couple of times. I don't know if he won it. Brown's never won one, so he probably didn't. Favre, Unitas, Warner, Montana, Young. May I go on? These guys win Super Bowls. I think what the difference is here in this matchup is the Texans are a great story. C.J. Stroud is a great story. The Ravens are a great team. They're just better than the Texans, okay? Like, we might say that against the Chiefs next week, and that might be the case. They have blown out multiple playoff teams this year. They have beaten some of the best teams in the league. They have one of the league's best defenses, and in addition to that, they have one of the league's top 4 offenses. It is really hard to think that this would be the game that got them. maybe if the matchup thing was different, or maybe if the right team, if it had ended up being like Miami or Buffalo that went there, I'd have given them more of the puncher's chance. Again, the Texans are a great story. Divisional round's a huge win for them. I just think the Ravens are so much better than them. I don't see how. I feel not as strong as the Steelers last week, but this feels like a lopsided matchup to me.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, we talk about even when the Chiefs had potential matchups. Are who's scarier? Like, because the Texans weren't viewed as the team that were supposed to be there, does that make, like, if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, are you nervous this weekend? I'm guessing you are, though, because when you're seeing C.J. Stroud play at the level that he is, that makes you a little bit nervous. Not proven, but that team, I think, has the ability in an instant to rip off a 70-yard touchdown. And honestly, this year, you haven't seen that from the Chiefs.
No.
Right? You really haven't seen that from the Bills as much. Like, that's what makes the Texans a little dangerous here if you're the Ravens.
Is it they found Nico Collins 70 yards down the field a bunch? I'd feel different, too, if it were Tank Dell, wouldn't you? Like, if they had some more, I don't know, if they had their full complement of weapons, Gold, some version of it. Look, I'm a big believer in C.J. Stroud, and his legend will really grow. If he wins this game, it'll be twofold. Both will be major stories coming out of the weekend. Lamar can't get past the divisional round again, and C.J. Stroud's a star. Against it, is he a top 5 quarterback already? That will be the sentence uttered on Monday if they win that matchup. On the NFC side, both are interesting, but let's start with the one that most people think is going one way. 49ers and the Packers. We understand what the Packers season become. A lot like the Texans and the one I just mentioned. Feels like the Packers are a good story and the 49ers are a good team, but I give the Packers a better shot here because I really like what Matt LaFleur has done with that offense and what he's already gotten out of Jordan Love. They have a lot of different weapons and a varied amount to the point that they can actually take advantage of it. I think they can kind of keep this thing somewhat close to the 49ers. I'll still think the 49ers win because they've been the best team in the league this year and they still possess the most talent. But I got to be honest, I've seen Brock Purdy play a playoff game? I mean, I'd like to maybe see him a couple of times before I determine he's a playoff superstar.
Yeah, this one's simple for me, honestly. Is it a healthy Trent Williams? Best left tackle in football? Yes. Is it a healthy Christian McCaffrey? Best running back in football? Yes. Deebo Samuel, one of the more explosive wide receivers. They can use him in different ways. Is he healthy? Yes. George Kittle played in this game? Yes. Brock Purdy doesn't have to be Superman when all those guys are around. And that defense is not what the Dallas Cowboys defense was. So that's why I know everybody's high on Green Bay. They looked incredible against the Cowboys. But that defense was a joke. There were guys wide open all over the place. Jordan Love's playing at a high level. The 49ers are not going to just give it to you as easy as the Cowboys did. I think the Niners, unlike the Ravens in this spot, I think the Niners actually cover the 9.5 points, and I think the Niners win by 10 or more over Green Bay at home off the rest.
It's funny, I'd be inclined to go the other way on it, but I think both of these teams have the puncher's chance. I don't eliminate either. This isn't the Steelers matchup, Gold, where we gave them 0.001% chance. We're like, what's the way in which the Steelers win the game? And I'm like, I don't know. Josh Allen turns it over 3 times and someone gets hurt.
There's also no problem with the weather, though. It's just they're playing this game in Santa Clara. You don't have that aspect. And I think the Niners and Kyle Shanahan, frankly, are just a better coach team, too.
Despite what one reporter might think, the snowy temperatures currently in Detroit will not be playing a factor in the Lions-Bucks game.
That was unbelievable.
If you missed it earlier this week, a reporter asked Todd Bowles if he'd prepared himself for all the weather that has wreaked havoc on these games.
Any special plans to acclimate the team to not only endure but perform in those kind of frigid temperatures should you face them in Detroit?
You do know we play indoors, right? And they got a dome. I don't. No, nothing planned.
Good stuff. So good. So good. You know why I love this game even more than just the matchup stuff, in which I think the Lions are going to win, but the Bucks can absolutely keep it close. I love the idea that this matchup is either going to produce the most loser franchise in NFL history with a quarterback who was discarded by his last team in the Detroit Lions. The losingest franchise probably in NFL history. All of a sudden is in the NFC title game, or Baker Mayfield is. Because that's the funniest outcome. Baker Mayfield is in the NFC title game? After just getting picked up off the street in a deal that we said was nothing for the Buccaneers? He's just a placeholder till they could get to next year's draft, and then all of a sudden he's in it? That's why I love this storyline. Either of those are awesome results, aren't they? Baker or the Lions? You're not rooting against the Lions still, are you?
No. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. I actually like the Bucks in the first half for this game from a betting angle. The Bucks plus 3.5. Stay within 3.5 for the first half. Because I wonder if the Lions, after all the emotion from winning their first playoff game in 30 years, like that high. How do you get up more for this game than you did? And that's Dan Campbell's job. But like, how do you get up more for this game than you did last week when Matthew Stafford was returning all that?
Yeah,
so I can see them
hard.
being a little flat, which is why I like the Bucs in the first half to stay within 3.5 points. Overall, the Lions though are just a much better football team. The Eagles clearly were a mess. I don't think Baker Mayfield will limit the mistakes, as in not have any, like he did against Philadelphia. Plus, that Lions offense, man. I know in the second half, I think they scored 6 points, but in the first half, it was a shootout against the Rams. I don't think the Bucs want to get into a shootout. I don't think the Bucs can compete in a shootout if that's what it turns out to be.
No. I mean, how can they? They don't have that kind of firepower.
To answer your actual question, it would be the funniest result if Baker Mayfield was in an NFC title game, yes.
I mean, it's just absolutely, like for a league that we call pretty unpredictable, Baker Mayfield's own family wouldn't have told you before the season that Baker was going to be in the NFC title game with the Bucs before this year started. No one. Not a single team. We could go through, and I'm not even kidding, we could find 10,000 professional guesses at the Final Four teams before the year started, and not a single one would have the Bucs. Not unless that they had also predicted that Tom Brady surprisingly came out of retirement again to try to play for the Bucs and then took them there. That'd have been the only result that got there.
Yeah, I had the Saints winning that division, and the Saints decided to keep their head coach, so I was surprised by that move as
Alex
well.
also had the Saints winning the division. He was wrong. I had the Falcons winning the division. Also wrong.
Wow.
They had the Bucs winning the division.
Yeah, no.
The Bucs are supposed to be drafting in the top 5, not maybe playing in the NFC title game. You know what's the best? The funniest result is not just the Bakers in the NFC title game, but they're hosting it against the Packers.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but
they're at home.
But maybe I think the thing that someone said that might be true is the pressure was off Baker this year. So he had no spotlight, nothing, and so he could just play free
football. He's about
football.
to get paid, which is, as you were saying, like he's about to get that extension this offseason. It'd be nice. Bucs are going to have to give him money this offseason. That's a look at some of the playoff matchups for the divisional round in the NFL. We know, obviously, the Chiefs have to wait. Last game of the entire weekend. But we'll know everything. We'll know the whole, we'll have the setup for the entire championship round by the time the Chiefs are playing. We'll know exactly if they're playing at Arrowhead with a win or if they have to go to Baltimore. So that at least, I guess that part adds some extra, not motivation for the team as much as it is, I just think the stakes get raised for Buffalo fans too. If Buffalo knows they have a chance to host another AFC title game or AFC title game for the first time since the 90s, like you add all of that in. Thinking of the NFL though, let's go all 32 in the NFL as we do usually on Thursdays, but we'll move it today on a Friday because of everything going around in the league. And I'll start with
32.
With the coaching aspect. I saw a report that Mike Vrabel did interview with the LA Chargers.
I don't like that.
We know that the Chargers interviewed Harbaugh. I think I'd rather the Chargers hire Harbaugh than Mike Vrabel. And I'm not telling you that Harbaugh can't have success or won't have success.
That's success
wherever
everywhere
he
he's
goes.
been.
But I think Vrabel, when I see how Vrabel's Titans team, who were undermanned and didn't have a great roster, did defensively against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they've mucked some of those games up, right? And if all of a sudden that's what the Chargers games were twice a year, I think that is a little scarier to me than if Harbaugh was actually the coach with the Chargers.
Vrabel's done well against the Chiefs, as you said, which is kind of concerning. I also just think Vrabel's younger. He's proven that he can win with mediocre quarterback play. He's won divisions. And I get it. Harbaugh's been to a Super Bowl, so not saying they can't be there. I'm always still impressed, and I know it's been a few years now, so maybe I should just dial it back a little bit. In fact, he took Ryan Tannehill to an AFC title game and took down some tough opponents, including that Ravens team that year. Just riding the back of Derrick Henry was impressive. Yeah, I still want them to take some coordinator because I think the flop rate is way higher at defensive or offensive coordinator off of a good staff than proven, veteran, knows what he's doing NFL head coach who had success. Not the ones that failed in their first stop and got a retread like Josh McDaniels, Gold, or Dennis Allen, who we just talked about, but guys that actually won where they were and had success. I hate those guys going to the Chargers.
Hey, I saw one that said ex-Stanford head coach David Shaw was taking an interview. I would take that head coach over.
Fine.
Take that one.
Did he coach Andrew Luck? Was he at Stanford at that time, David Shaw?
I believe so, and he got McCaffrey as well.
Yeah, he had some talent there, that's for sure.
Well, look at the years he had there.
Yeah. Look, if you take the Chargers job, you know you've got the quarterback thing figured out. other teams can't say the same thing, which is where the Bears are. Look, I don't think it's an accident that they're interviewing offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury for the job.
Right.
Who coached Caleb Williams this year at USC. And now the compensation rumors and guesses for Fields are out there. Nobody in the industry thinks they can get a first-round pick. At most teams think they could get a pair of seconds, most likely a second and a third, second and a fourth. That's high enough. I told you I thought harder about this, and there was a time in which I thought that that's about the right compensation for Fields, and this is where I think it's a win-win for both. You, the Bears, take your shot. You picked first overall 2 years in a row. There are game-changing quarterbacks at the top of that draft, and you've gotten a good view of Fields to know that the upside of Caleb Williams is too much to pass up. Meanwhile, if you're a team trading a second-rounder for Justin Fields, I could see why the juice is worth the squeeze. If you're unsure or not picking high enough in a draft to know that that's where you should go. I think this could be one of those things that's good for Justin Fields, kind of like how when Kirk Cousins left and he found good foothold in Minnesota, and good for the Bears for taking another shot at quarterback. I could see where this benefits both parties. You think would you take a second and a third if you were the Bears?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too. That's the high-end estimate.
Absolutely. I think you would have to. Again, you know where I'm at on this. I just don't know how, as a general manager, when you didn't draft the quarterback that we're talking about, whether or not he may or may not be the guy. The fact that you're even having a debate about whether or not Justin Fields is the answer, then you're already giving yourself the answer, aren't you?
If you have to think about 4 years in, yeah. If it's after year one, maybe not.
Like you said there, and then Ryan Poles, you're going to get two chances to draft the number one quarterback, and you're not going to draft one both times. Talk about a dice roll for your future.
No kidding.
All right, so mine is for you guys is C.J. Stroud. So C.J. Stroud, obviously, probably going to win off Rookie of the Year, right? We think that you got Puka from the Rams, right? But say he goes out, beats Baltimore. How far does he jump up? Some people say he's already a top 5 quarterback. Where do you see him at?
Okay, so if he beats Lamar Jackson, he still wouldn't have an MVP. Boy, that's tough. It's just one playoff game.
There's already, like you said, there's a lot of people already trying to claim he's
I
top
couldn't
5.
put him above Allen. I couldn't put him above Burrow. I can't put him above Mahomes. I think he's top 10. I think if he wins this game and he goes to an AFC title game in his first year as a starter, to start the season, he deserves a ranking 10. He is a top 10 quarterback in the league with the potential to be one of the best.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get to just instantly anoint himself in the top 5 for a couple of playoff wins.
Yeah, not top 5, but top 10. He'll enter top 10. I think he's already in the top 10. I think that's fair. And he'll be, as we've said a couple times, he'll be one of the 4 or 5. I would say he might even have, depending on what he does in the playoffs, the 5th or 6th best odds, if not better, to win MVP next year.
Yeah, probably.
Do you think he jump ropes Trevor Lawrence already
Yes.
if he wins? And so he's the best quarterback in the division?
If you made me start over a franchise right now and start with one of those 2 quarterbacks, I would take CJ.
Yeah, I don't know how you that wouldn't be the answer, the consensus answer.
Some of that's because I haven't seen him fail, but
exactly, and that's why next year will be a fascinating season. Like, he's been great, but does it mean he's just never going to struggle? Maybe not. If he's a superstar and he's a top 5 quarterback, then yeah, we're just not going to.
Never struggled.
Not until at times this is viewed as struggling. A year where he's in the divisional round and won 11
more passing
games
yards and more touchdowns than the guy we're talking about right now. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. That's where that's the bar.
Different.
That's the bar that you're at. Stroud's got some work to do, but he's been incredible. That's all 32 in the NFL. Coming up next, though, when we think about the issues of the season for Kansas City, maybe we're talking drops, maybe we're talking about the offensive line. Which one frightens you a little bit more heading into Sunday's game? And we'll have the random question of the day.
Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC. Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold, each day from noon until 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio.
There's a brand new Other Place location in Mission, Kansas, and let me tell you, it is absolutely beautiful. It is the perfect place to stop by, grab a drink after work, catch a happy hour, catch a playoff game, or watch a little college basketball. If you're looking for a place to watch the game, you got to stop by the brand new Other Place in Mission.
We're the Hellsburg Wedding Band, and whoa, look at that ring. Boy, is she fancy dancing with that ring. Everybody checking her dancing with that ring. Disco ball on her finger, dancing with that ring. Honestly, nobody's dancing because they're just staring at that ring. For a great selection of high-quality natural and lab-grown diamonds and custom rings at a great price, visit a Hellsburg near you or Hellsburg.com and she'll be dancing with that ring.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
Well, with these bitter cold temperatures, everybody is bundling up outside. And if you're someone that wears glasses, you know one of the other downsides with that is in the winter, you're going to walk in a building, you're going to walk out of your car maybe, and your glasses are going to be fogged up. It's just going to cause some problems for your vision. Something I dealt with for, 28 years or so of my life, but I don't do that anymore. Thanks to DuraVision, thanks to SBK Advanced LASIK. I went in for a consultation almost 4 years ago and found out that I was, in fact, a candidate for LASIK. And a couple days later, I went in for a procedure, and now I don't use glasses. I don't use contacts. I just wake up and see every day, and I don't have to deal with anything fogging up while I'm dealing with these cold weather temps like we all are here in Kansas City. You could also save up to $1,000 right now with their Friends and Family Savings Event. The $1,000 off a LASIK procedure. Just go to DuraVision.com. Give them a call at 913-491-3330, and be sure to tell them Gold from 610 sent you.
Celebrate your home team's Tully touchdown with Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. May your team be swift and their aim true. May the refs be forever in your favor and your whiskey always Tullamore Dew. Tullamore Dew, the original triple-blended, triple-distilled, smooth-sipping Irish whiskey, made exactly for game day moments like this. Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume, imported by William Grant & Sons Incorporated, New York, New York. Please enjoy Tullamore Dew responsibly. Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold, each day from noon until 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Hi. 610 Sports Radio.
Nachos! Yeah, your nachos!
Hey, I'll take some.
Great. And some Frank's Red Hot.
Oh, nah, I'm good.
Oh, you're just gonna eat these dry, plain, boring nachos with no Franks? Oh, seriously? Frank it up. Frank it up. Come on, lady. Frank it up. Frank it up. Frank it up. Yeah! Yeah, this guy finally gets it. Hey, look, we're on the Jumbotron.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
Okay, everyone, gather round. It's time for corny jokes about passing the torch.
The team at Kirian's Welding was fused together solid.
Thanks for all the late nights and early shifts.
But double retirements mean the crew must bond with some certified new hires.
You've both gone the extra millimeter.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-Do.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the Bag Boys.
What?
Bag Boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag Boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit GetJim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Max Motors. 9 major vehicle brands to choose from. MaxMotors.com. It's time you took car shopping to the max. New Ford F-150s payments as low as $549 a month.
Best financing options available and the highest trade-in values.
MaxMotors.com. Must trade 95 or newer vehicle and finance with FMCC. Excludes Raptor WAC.
See dealer for details.
Here on a Red Friday in Kansas City. Harold Coons, Fox 4, going to join us for Club 610 in about a half hour. We're also 10 minutes away from the random question of the day. I like this song. I don't know. It kind of gets me going a little bit. You know, you don't like this song? It's a good song. Kind of gets you upbeat.
It's fine.
It's a good song. I got
nothing against it.
I like having the music ride out a little bit longer these days, too. You know?
You like it to really kind of linger there for a second.
Why not?
I think JT was worried because yesterday I sent him a text in the middle of a segment.
You didn't like the song?
Wait. No. It was that the music was playing for about 10 minutes into the segment.
Well, that was the red half hour.
When we wouldn't normally do that. So I sent JT a text, said, hey, man.
Man, we're confusing JT.
I just said, hey, man, do you mind? So, like, he probably is like, oh, I better get that music down real fast. We're in his head.
That's what it is.
It's like drops for a
Hey, I tell you,
player.
it's kind of like rough cut because, like we talked about, I hadn't been with you guys since the summer, so I'm trying to figure out how you guys have adjusted with Drew. And so when you hit me the text, I'm like, oh crap, I messed it up. I'm like, oh man. But I've picked this song because I was like, it's Friday, you got to get that upbeat. It's like you said, it's almost one of the greatest weekends of football because of the division round.
Worked out great. I do like that song. You're right. It's fine.
It's good.
I mean, it's not like,
thanks, JT, though. Fill it in for Drew. Hopefully, as you said, Drew feels better.
Fingers crossed.
Ready to go on Monday or whatever. Is that Bengals sickness, do you think? You think it's Bengals sickness of not being in the divisional round? I think that's what it is, a little Bengals sickness.
His team had been in back-to-back AFC title games. I mean, they were really riding high.
I mean, I'd feel a little sick if the Chiefs would have been out wild card weekend.
What's it like to not
play making the playoffs?
What's it like to not play in the AFC title game or the division?
Well, don't say that part yet. That's for, how about just not make the playoffs? So we don't. We
can start there.
We've also all experienced that before, just not the last 6 years or whatever.
Just feels like it's been a really long time.
We've been spoiled, man. We've been spoiled a little bit, to say the least. And there's definitely things that scare you about this matchup on Sunday because some of them have been long-standing issues with this team, whether it's the drops or the play at offensive line, the tackles to be specific, and Jawan Taylor's penalties. And so I still think if you're asking me, like, what's still the scarier part of this game on Sunday from those two, it's not the drops.
Really?
It really isn't. It is because
those have been around all year, too.
The reason why it's not the drops is I believe the Chiefs have shown us their target share and not giving the ball to playmakers they shouldn't anymore. And I do believe they figured that out a little bit. I'm not saying that like McCall Hardman won't get a catch or something. I'm talking about, I think Sky Moore, MVS, Tony, if they're getting any action, any targets, it is so limited now that the mistakes are like, you don't give them the opportunity. Now you're keying in on Rice, Kelsey, and Pacheco. I think the answer of what's a little scary is Jawan Taylor. He's going on the road. The atmosphere is going to be nuts. And that big completion that you might finally get to McCall Hardman, is it called back because of a holding call?
Or does it never happen because he dropped it?
Do you have a false start? Do you have a false start penalty? Yeah, you could say because he dropped it. But a false start penalty,
Sure.
like I'm more concerned about those because I've actually seen, heck, we just saw, even if we think it was a bad call, the block in the back, it was called a block in the back.
It was.
Even if he got put, it was called a block in the back. That, fortunately, they overcame it, but that took a Rashee Rice touchdown off the board.
Unfortunately for him, he hasn't earned the right anymore to not get the borderline calls, and that's what it was against Jawan Taylor there. It's the wrong call, but you can see in the moment, Jawan Taylor puts his arm on the guy's back, ref sees it, he calls it. He doesn't give Jawan Taylor the benefit of the doubt that he was shoved first, which is what happened there. But the drops do concern me because I understand the Raiders game, which I'm calling an anomaly. I'll just be honest. I don't pay any attention to that game and what it means to the Chiefs. That's a game that doesn't matter. It is not indicative of the way they've played over the last 6 weeks. It has no bearing on where they are. Since they started playing better offense, Gold, the one thing that still hasn't clicked is the deep passing game. But what has been found is that medium passing game. That stuff with Rashee Rice and Justin Watson and Travis Kelce that, like last year, is 15, 20-yard chunks, which is the way I think you can overcome a false start or, in the right circumstances, a hold. But you can't make up those gaps in yardage if you drop the ball. And the drops, to me right now, are the bigger concern going into the game. Jawan Taylor's more likely, probably, to get penalties. I think Pete Sweeney, who was with us earlier, he just said, I'll give Juwan 2. I'm like, what? On what planet are we just free rolling 2 penalties to an offensive lineman? But in a weird way, I feel the same way about the drops. I'll give you 2. Hey, if you promise me you as a team only drop 2 passes, sold. I'm in. I also think the drops right now, as you mentioned earlier, probably are a little less now because they're not throwing it to the guys who drop it as much. Sky Moore, MVS, right? Those guys aren't getting the ball as much. Rashee Rice, who had some drops earlier in the season, that seems like a distant time ago, he has been way more sure-handed. When Brian Baldinger was talking about it earlier, that was one of the things that somebody else had pointed out to me that really stood out. You ever notice that Rashee Rice might be their only wide receiver who actually catches the ball with his hands out in front the way you're kind of supposed to? So his drop problems might be totally behind him, in my opinion. Travis is the one I can't figure out. He seems to, only for this 1 year, decided he's going to drop the ball and dropped it 3 times in this last game. And because his yards are so important to this offense, it scares me. It scares me. I'm not like overly worried thinking it's going
but they just came off a game where they had 400 yards of offense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, like, they had 400 yards of offense. I still think across this season, the time that drives have been stalled from in the red zone, so they across the entire game, drops have impacted them all year. We know this, right?
Sure.
I would argue in the red zone, some of these Juwan Taylor penalties have been in, like, they have happened in the red zone for the most part and stalled out drives entirely. Now, if you want to talk about a drop that was batted in the air and led to a pick 6, that's a different story. Duh, those are way more harmful. You know, Kadarius Toney popping one up in the air for an interception, different. I'm just talking about a straight drop. I think in this game where the Chiefs, I do think, will move the ball and they have focused in on the key pieces. That's the crowd noise is where I worry about Juwan Taylor. Hopefully, it's not something that we have to worry about at all. Hopefully, Juwan Taylor has his best game of the season. I will make sure we give him props for it on Monday.
Donovan Smith might have had his best game of the season last week. Does that sound right? I mean, that was one of his better games for sure.
Go back to last year. I'm not, saying that
they don't have anybody to rush the passer in Miami.
So that's the thing, and why when we were discussing with all of our guests this week, we've asked them, like, the Dolphins didn't have the personnel to impact the tackles. Do you trust them in this game? But to your point about Donovan Smith and how he has looked, last year in Tampa, he had a brutal season. He was hurt all year. This year, he started the game at the start of the season, was playing okay, average football at best. And then he got hurt, neck stinger, or maybe he was hurt before then. Who knows? We just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
They bench him / let him recover. Wanye Moore, bench is not the right word. Let him recover. Wanye Morris takes the job for the time being. And then Donovan Smith, now healthy, maybe played his best game of the year.
Might have a little juice left.
I mean, he, prior to the injury, was a very good tackle in this league. So we'll see.
That might be one of the, I don't think we used to do a segment on this called Key Matchups. We'd all give one. Their pass rushers versus the tackles has got to be one of the 3 key matchups, doesn't it? I mean, we can go through the other ones, like their linebackers versus Kelsey, whatever. And we can go on the Chiefs' end as well and be like, it's Willie Gay versus Josh Allen's running, or Drew Tranquill versus James Cook. But some of the obvious ones are the ones we just mentioned, and it's right there. Can the tackles hold up to what is a significantly better pass rush for the Bills than against Miami? The great news is for the Chiefs is if it does, and their tackles do, and their offensive line holds up really well against the Bills, well, I'm 10 times more optimistic that it can also hold up against the Ravens, another really good pass rush team. Okay, great. The Bills have just as many sacks as the Chiefs. They're right up there in the top 5 just like they are. So if you can hold up against them, you can hold up against most teams. I understand there's still issues in there, but I mean, this is also, I asked people over on Twitch, like, hey, will you rank, we were talking about those NFL games, rank out the ones you think are most likely to be a blowout to least likely. This game is by far the least likely to be a blowout out of the other 4. It's not, mean, by a mile.
Yeah.
I could see a blowout in the other 3 at least being semi-plausible. Based on the Chiefs' defense, the limitations the offense have had a majority of the season, blowout just doesn't seem like it's in the cards in this game.
And, I mean, just off of the spreads of the game, it says that, too. If you're even, just want to actually go with what the books think, too.
Yeah,
which doesn't
2 or
mean,
9 plus point favorites.
It doesn't mean they're not wrong, but the Chiefs are 2.5 or 3 point favorites. The Bucs are 6.5 point dogs. Dogs, on both cases. And the Cowboys, or the Packers game is a 9.5 point spread. And when you're looking at those matchups with the Ravens and Texans, it's a 9.5 point spread. So, the books would say that it's going to be a close game as well.
I wonder for that. I just wonder if I'm hopeful that the tackles will hold up one time. That's it. At least they got the league's best defense. That's the thing that I keep holding on to. Anytime, Gold, I think if you had asked either of us a month ago, would we be thinking about predicting the Chiefs to beat the Bills on the road and the Bills were the 2 seed, I don't think either of us would have been leaning yes. I think a month, 6 weeks ago, you and I would have both been thinking no, not likely, or unlikely that was the way it was going to go. I feel so much more confident about this game than I would have 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, than I do now. And that's just because of the things we've talked about a lot. The finding yourself on offense, the matchups for the injuries for the Bills that line up well for the Chiefs, and so on.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, JT, over on the text line, 913-586-7610. Of course, I mentioned we're on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. You can watch the show on video as well. We'll get back to the Chiefs in just a minute. What has been a very unpredictable NFL season might apply to the Chiefs game as well. But I was, wife and I are talking about getting a car this summer. It's like, what kind of car? Trying to make this work. We had a brief conversation. I want to know if I should be embarrassed. We had a brief conversation about whether or not I should be considering becoming a minivan driver.
Oh, soccer dad.
Is it all right? Is that all right if I'm cool with the minivan? Because I'll be honest, for a second I was like, God, a minivan?
Well, would this be your car or your wife's car? The reason why I asked this
would be my car.
The reason why I ask is because if your wife works as well, but if you're at work, would it make sense for you to drive the minivan to work?
Well, in this case, right? For the most part, it would be my car, but for the most part, look, she got stuff to take the kids places.
That's what I mean.
Maybe swap out cars for the day. I don't care. It'd probably be both. I gotta be honest.
You got 2 kids?
I think minivans are kind of nice these days. They're looking a lot better than they used to. I like the space. JT's looking at me like, God, you're just the oldest person on the planet.
I hate minivans.
The minivans are nice, but you have 2 kids. I think if you had 3, then I think minivan is a very strong option if you didn't want to get a huge SUV.
I don't want those with 3-seater SUVs.
With 2 kids, I think you could get by with just a good size SUV. I don't think you need a van for just 2 kids.
I was thinking like the Escape, the Ford Escape.
That's too small. That's their smaller SUV.
Too small, man. I need something in between.
Yeah, that's too small.
By the way, local car dealers, I'll be shopping this summer. You just let me know. Well, Oaks, Kia, Max Motors. Don't make me list all of our sponsors. Who wants to do a little business with your guy Cody?
The van, very comfortable, but I don't know if you need the van with 2 kids.
Yeah, but I got, what you're forgetting about? First, stuff. Just straight up stuff. Kids have so much stuff. Like, just it never ends the amount of stuff they have, especially if you go on vacation. Second, they're friends. For instance, twice a week, I pick up my daughter's friend from dance. And then twice a week, they pick up our daughter for dance, right? With a friend group of ours. So I pick up another kid. And look, we can't do that in days in which one of us has something else going on. Because I can't get 3 kids comfortably in my car with the size of a car seat. In a van, we're in business. Everybody fits. Their stuff fits. A little bit of room. Feels like it'd be nice for a vacation.
How do they handle the snow?
Leaning in the minivan.
I've always heard. I've never driven one, so I've always heard minivans are terrible in the snow. Is that true? Someone that has a van can confirm or deny that. But I've heard vans just aren't good in the snow versus if you just got the SUV. But
as a person that does have a family with a van, that my dad loves to drive the van when it snows
because it doesn't handle well.
Or it handles
in this case,
well.
He thinks it handles well.
My dad thinks it handles well better than the cars that we have.
Okay.
I have a Chrysler 300, so my car is absolute horrible with snow. My family's always had a van because there's 3. I have 2 younger brothers, so it works out like that.
People are suggesting other just mid-size SUVs for you, Cody.
Okay. Someone says real men drive minivans. I'm open to suggestions.
Then I'm not a real man.
I'm looking for a car that I can comfortably fit 3 people. Someone says get that the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. No, that's the car I hate from the car pickup line, and they know that. That was the person I complained about.
Is that why you don't want one? Those are also very expensive.
Yeah, they're like $80,000 cars. I'll just be honest. Let's just peel behind the curtain here for a minute. That's out of my budget, okay? Just going to be honest with you, text line. That's out of the budget.
Cody's going to be driving around a Honda Odyssey before we know it. He's going to be driving around a Honda Odyssey.
Got to get those TVs in the back seat of the headrests. Although we pretty much as a family have we don't let the kids use iPads or Nintendos or phones in the car.
When we were little, and my mom had a Chrysler Town and Country. This was back in 1999 or whatever, right? Like that was one of the favorite. Like they loved it. They loved the van at the time back then.
People suggesting a Kia Telluride, Honda Odyssey's great.
So they
plus a van's really good for traveling.
Someone says it might be too late, but maybe condoms. Nope, too late for that. Sorry. I already have the 2 kids. Sorry.
The Telluride's not a van though. That's just a very nice SUV from Kia. One of the more popular SUVs right now.
I do like the way those look. Someone mentions the Ford Edge or Terrain might work. Okay.
Maybe that's what I was thinking. The Ford Edge, but also I guess another pro for the van is it's really good when you're going on vacation for road trips.
Yeah, Cody, when you drive them to that cabin you have in Colorado,
I do like those for road trips. We take that road trip once every year, once every couple of years.
We took a van all the way down with a family trip back in the day to Destin, Florida. We took a van all the way.
Dude, we're a road trip family. It's just expensive. Getting 4 round trip plane tickets and a rental car, it's just crazy. Like I have to drive. This is part of the reason. My car is 12 years old. I've had it for more than a decade. It'll be like 11 years this, we've had it forever. And this summer we have to drive to St. Louis for my daughter's dance competition, and then I have to go to said cabin like a week and a half after that. I'm not taking the 2010 Jetta. It's time. It's time.
I mean, you could rent a car, but yes, I got you.
Yeah,
it's time to get a car.
It was already time anyway.
Yeah.
So we're making this move.
People want to know what the question was. As Cody was just,
should I get a minivan?
Should Cody be a minivan guy?
Should I be a minivan guy? Do I fit that vibe?
They also, I think, with what my parents have done, they've had 2 minivans in the span of how old I'm 23 going on 24. So they've had 2 minivans, and really both of them have really done well. They just got really tired of the old one and got a newer one.
Okay. Lots of suggestions. Thanks, Text
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with getting the van. I just
do they hold their value? Like how trucks hold their value better? Do minivans hold up?
Are you planning on what do you?
No, just in case.
Just in case what?
I don't know. Just in case. It's nice. The only downside is I was thinking that the next car I got, because I only drive about 10,000 miles a year in a car typically, so I don't drive a ton. So 10 years from now, the car would have about 120,000 miles. Perfect for my daughter, who's now 7. That's her car, right?
Don't you think that's
I can't
very?
get a minivan. I think I can just sell it.
Doesn't that, I mean that sounds good on I think
it's good
smart
theory. I don't know if it'll work.
Responsible, financially responsibly. That's very optimistic of you that in 10 years the car will just be completely good to go for her.
I've had enough luck in the last couple of cars I've gotten. I've gotten more than that. So
you're going brand new then for a minivan?
I'd be going pretty new.
Okay, okay.
Like under 30,000 miles. Maybe brand new.
Oh, so you're open to certified pre-owned. Okay.
I'm open to certified pre-owned.
Okay.
Maybe brand new, but low mileage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are your kids tall?
I'm driving my car into the ground as long as possible. Technically, do I need another car? Sure, but it runs fine. But you and I are both in the same territory, Cody. Of we're both venturing down territory of needing new cars. Yeah. But we're holding out, I think, right now.
That's my random question of the day. I know we're going to talk more Chiefs here with Harold Kuntz. Will come here in 10 minutes. I do have whiskey sours. I need to go make for us in a minute. The text line's just full of either actual honest-to-God suggestions, which I appreciate. Some people suggesting car dealers in which they've worked with that they appreciate.
Yeah. They said my car is going to break down in a Chipotle parking lot. I sure hope not. I sure hope not.
Honestly, that'd be the right way for it to
I don't
go
need
down,
that,
wouldn't it?
I don't need that right now.
You don't think so?
I don't need that to have happen.
But as the Chiefs get ready for this weekend, I think what I was reminded of quickly when someone pointed out a stat is how unpredictable this NFL season has been, for the Chiefs included. There was a time this year in which I thought the Chiefs were the best team in the league. There's been a time or at least one of the 2 best teams in the league. Then there were times this year when I didn't even think they'd get to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. And now they're 1 win away from being in the wild card. As somebody pointed out, we should have just assumed something is going to surprise us in the divisional round, because look at this stat from this year. At one point this year, the Eagles were 10-1, Miami was 9-3, and the Cowboys are 10-3. Not a single one of those teams is left in the postseason. The Texans were 3-4, getting ready to take on Baltimore. The Bucs were 4-7 and won their division, and the Packers were 3-6 and are also in the divisional round. This has been a particularly weird year for the NFL for turnaround's sake.
It has. Can't dispute the facts you just laid out, but don't you think what you were highlighting, hey, this team started off poorly, now look at them. Don't we know more about these teams now? Like, it's about how are you playing in the postseason? Who are you now? Yeah, there could be an upset or two, but the Cowboys and Eagles, I think going to the playoffs for different reasons, people would have predicted maybe an earlier exit, right? The Cowboys, that's the Cowboys. The Eagles, a lot of people were predicting them to lose, not me, but a lot of people were predicting them to lose to the Bucs, and that they're a mess, and Sirianni's lost the team and all of this. Like, I hear you that it was unpredictable during the season, but now that it's divisional round and we've got these teams that are left, especially the 2 ones that we have, the Ravens and the Niners, are there unanswered questions about those 2 teams? Like, are we suddenly thinking they're just going to fall on their face now? In
a weird way, I just feel like this is why I make, like when we go to make our official predictions for the Chiefs game, that one's close. I feel like in the other 3 games in which I feel the same way you do, The Lions are going to win. The 49ers are going to win. The Ravens are going to win. I should probably just decide the one I think's not going that way because I feel like that's how this NFL season has been. Hell, even the great teams, the 49ers and the Ravens, there's been times in the middle of this season where I'm like, what the hell is wrong with that team?
I guess what I'm saying is I'm not telling you there can't be an upset. I don't believe that because the Bills were once 6-6 means some team that is going to now lose because we don't know. Like
you're saying by now we've got to figure it out.
If the Bills lose, they're playing way better. These teams that are alive still is because they are playing some of their best football of the season. We would agree the Chiefs are playing their best football of the season, right?
Yes.
The Bills playing their best football of the season. The Texans clearly playing their best football of the season.
No doubt.
The Niners and Ravens are coming off byes, but going into the playoffs, they were playing the Ravens just killed the Dolphins 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. The Niners, obviously, other than losing to the Ravens on Christmas night or whatever that was.
Yeah, they got killed.
Other than that, they've been these teams that are here, I would argue, are playing some of their best football. The Bucs clearly playing their best football of the season.
So it no longer matters that they were once bad or the good teams
upsets can
were once
happen.
bad.
I just don't think any of that stuff matters to that. Why the season was unpredictable.
The Cowboys, though, were still playing really good football coming into the postseason and still got. I mean,
but people for that will just always point like it's the Cowboys. It's the Cowboys.
They're the one exception to this.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. Like, what game do you think is most likely to have the upset of the entire weekend? Don't say the Chiefs game because they're 2.5-point dogs. Like, yes, it's an upset, but okay.
I think it's the Ravens. I think
if I take the Chiefs one out of it, okay.
I think it's the Texans because there's the unknown of is C.J. Stroud just that guy?
Is he? Yeah.
Is he just that guy? Is DeMeco Ryans just that guy? And Lamar's playoff stuff sprinkle around at least a little bit.
I'm probably with you. I mean, I told you I think the Texans cover. I'm not predicting an upset, but if I had to, and we take the Chiefs game out of it because it's a 2.5-point spread,
a coin flip.
I'd probably lean with you there. The Bucs is actually the second smallest spread, but I just don't believe that Baker can do it against the Detroit Lions.
Maybe I'm wrong.
And I know normally that sentence right there would be weird. Like, what do you mean they can't do it against the Lions? This is 2024 now with the Lions. It's different. They're a different team.
We have to forget about all the things before. And I always kind of point this out to people. They get offended. The Chiefs were never as bad as the Lions were as a franchise.
No.
But it is easy to forget that the Chiefs went more than 20 years between playoff wins and were dead last in division wins in their division before Andy Reid showed up and hadn't been to a Super Bowl since it was the AFL-NFL merger. Like, it was easy to forget that. And when the Chiefs started winning with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes, there were people who didn't take them serious either until you had no choice. Now, Goff's different than Mahomes. I get that. But that's also part of it. I'm looking forward to because, again, if they beat the Bills, when are the Bills ever getting past the Chiefs? Isn't that what they have to answer themselves? If the Chiefs beat the Bills on Sunday, the Chiefs have to go to bed being like, well, when are we ever going to get this team in the postseason? We finally got to be at home. The Chiefs are in a down year. Their offense isn't nearly as good. And we still couldn't. We won 6 games in a row. We still couldn't get them? Well, then they're just buried in it. At least Cincinnati got the Chiefs once in an AFC title game. Nobody else has, except for the Tom Brady Patriots, who are, I mean, that felt like a million years ago now. And that's not a threat anymore. He's retired, and the Patriots stink. So the only team that is active in the NFL who's gotten the Chiefs is Cincinnati. Nobody else has a ticker on him. The only guy who had anything on him was Tom Brady. Nobody else has gotten the man in the postseason except for Tom Brady. That's really, except for Joe Burrow, who got him one time and didn't even win the Super Bowl.
All right, coming up next, Club 610 here on a Red Friday. We've got our friend Harold Kuntz from Fox 4 stopping by. We'll ask him about the Bills and this conversation nationally that's been surrounding this game. We'll also get his thoughts on the other 3 games that we just got done talking about for divisional round weekend right here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold. Watch the show on YouTube by subscribing to the @610 Sports KC channel. 610 Sports Radio.
The weather's cold, the snow's coming down, and then you got to start worrying about your roof. No longer, thanks to our friends over at Century Roofing. You want a company that you can trust. I keep telling you, they've been in Kansas City for 33 years. They've handled 30,000 roofs in the greater Kansas City area. Your neighbors have voted them the best roofing company in Johnson County 2 years in a row. I understand sometimes you're worried about these things, and sometimes those big projects, I've done it too, right? Where you're like, oh, God, if I get this looked at, how bad is it going to be? You don't always need a full roof replacement. Sometimes you just need repairs. They give free estimates for both, so you can find out what those problems are before they become bigger problems. Maybe in hearing that drip for a little bit, and you're like, probably not that bad. Or you saw a little spot where you thought, maybe that's a little wet from the roof. Make sure. get it looked at, and make sure it's with a company you can trust. Right now, they're running a free material upgrade promotion on all roof replacement jobs. Get a Class 3 or 4 impact-resistant shingle from Tamco for the price of a 30-year or 50-year premium shingle. They're a women-owned business registered in the state of Kansas. Schedule your estimate today from KC Base, and I said female-owned Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength. CenturyRoofingKC.com, and tell them that Cody sent you.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
Men, the new year is here, and if you're like many of us, you're going to make a resolution to improve your health. But if you're feeling sluggish and low energy, if your sleep patterns are off, if you've been working out and aren't seeing the gains you used to see, making that resolution may not be so easy. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're feeling the way I just described, we can likely help you with that resolution, because those symptoms probably mean you're suffering with low testosterone. And at Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating this condition. With our low T protocols, if you're like most men, the change will astound you. You'll feel more energy and better mental clarity, your sleep will improve, your workouts will be better, and you'll likely find your sex drive goes up as well. So call us today and get treated for your low T. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600, or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
It's touchdown Kansas City for homeowners when you sell your home as is in any condition to RexBuysKC.com. This is Mitch Holter's voice of the Chiefs, and now sell your home to Rex. No matter the condition or situation, with closing details designed to fit your schedule, needs, and wants.
Thanks, Mitch. This is Rex, owner of RexBuysKC.com, your local home buyer. We offer instant cash offers on the first visit. We pay you more. We give you unlimited options on how to sell your home as is with no out-of-pocket repair cost, no closing cost, fees, or commissions, and will close in as little as 7 days. Call now at 816-330-6000 or go online to RexBuysKC.com.
Rex will buy your home for more with huge cash offers, fair and honest dealings, and options that make selling your home quick and hassle-free.
Homeowners, call now, 816-330-6000 or go online at RexBuysKC.com.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Call Tax Help USA to get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now, and the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's a mystery where Old Spice finds its amazing scents like Himalayan sea salt, but I'm thrilled they have because no other body wash exfoliates and moisturizes 24/7 like Old Spice Gentleman's Himalayan sea salt body wash. Now, if only there was a mountain range separating the Indian subcontinent from the Tibetan plateau where I could hide my Old Spice and keep my family from stealing it, my impossibly smooth skin will finally be safe.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like
Discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC.
NFL playoff coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Hey, it's Creed Humphrey, and you're listening to the official broadcast partner of the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
KCSB Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
All right, it's a Club 610 Red Friday here on Cody and Gold, presented by Jay Rieger & Co. Real quick, before we get to our guest and kick off the club, a little update out at Arrowhead. Andy Reid saying the team has, as expected, ruled out left tackle Wanye Morris, still dealing with the concussion. Also, Derek Nottie dealing with a tricep injury out. So those are the two players that are out for the Chiefs. Donovan Smith, as expected, will start, and that Mike Pinnell expected to step up or will need to step up in the absence of Derek Nottie. Sky Moore, still on injured reserve, will not be activated for the game. And look, I'm glad to see guys getting healthy, but I personally don't want the Chiefs to be tempted to even play Sky Moore, and I hope the same happens for Kadarius Toney. And we know Sky Moore now with that news, not even an option for Sunday's game. But Wanye Morris, they won't have that depth behind Donovan Smith. And then Derek Nottie in the run game, that could hurt them a little bit. But that's where things stand. Earlier in the day, we learned the Buffalo Bills have 4 different players out, including Gabe Davis and a couple members of the linebacking core. We'll see tomorrow on some other players for the Buffalo Bills. But that's where things stand as the Chiefs get set to take on the Bills on Sunday night. 913-586-7610. Text line says, what the hell is this intro music? It sounds like something people who have never been to a club would play. Well, it turns out for Club 610, we are not able to play, the same club music that Harold Kuntz would be rocking when he goes clubbing. We have to just have instrumental, generic club music. It turns out, due to FCC reasons, we cannot have, full-blown club music always. And now maybe you have it, you're at Hawkinson in Vegas or something. Anyway, Harold Kuntz from Fox 4 in studio with us. What's going on, man? I think you didn't draw the short straw. You don't have to go to Buffalo. Rob Collins is up there.
Rob's up there.
Oh, let's get his mic on JT a little bit, make sure we're good to go. Ahead, sorry.
Rob's up there. But I really got the short straw last week because I had to do the minus 4-degree game.
Yeah.
Watch out for that one.
Yeah,
so,
you got a bad end of that deal.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I mean, the road games I've been to this year, coincidentally, Minnesota, New England, and now Kansas City.
Does Rob hate you? Do we need to ask Rob?
It's not Rob. It's the
okay.
uppers.
Wait, Rob doesn't. I guess I figured Rob decided that. I'm sorry.
No,
okay.
No, we got people above us. And,
okay. Okay.
I mean, sometimes I wish it was just Rob and I, but
yeah, I got you.
But yeah, no, it's people above us. But yeah, it's I mean, I don't really care. It's what it is. It's weather. Buffalo's been playing outdoors forever. Detroit has been playing indoors forever, from what I gathered this week. So
the text line thinks text line thinks Rob Collins likely is doing cold plunges into the lake up there.
Well, he was I think he was on a snow, like when they pile up all the snow.
Yeah.
He was on he was on top of one of those snow piles.
Of course,
he was standing on top of a snowdrift.
And then he went to the Bills media availability today.
Okay, well that makes sense.
And he was the one thing he kept noticing was like how much room they have in their media facility.
A little bit better setup, huh?
Well, the Chiefs' room has space for about 12 people, and they fit 32 in there. So you make your decision.
A lot of people heard you making our drinks and shaking up some ice behind us. What do we got today? Cody's prepared. Nice presentation. Well, the video stream on. We'll let people see. Nice presentation today.
It's a whiskey sour. I'm serving it up because I forgot the other
this.
glassware.
Yeah, look at this today.
I cut up some nice oranges. I got the good cherries.
Yeah, well done.
Serve it up a little bit so
like
we
it.
can feel fancy. Go, Harold.
Yeah, here we go.
How about that? Well done today. Strong effort.
It's the divisional round. Okay,
Is that what it is?
We step up our cocktail game when it comes to the divisional round. I'm using J. Rieger whiskey, sporting J. Rieger whiskey. They I guess they solved one of their problems this morning.
Yeah, they solved their problems this morning. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
Self-created problem, but they did solve it.
Nobody made the problem with themselves, but
Real
it
quick,
was their problem.
They listened to the fans.
I was going to say, we don't have to go too far into it, but that it is proof, though, specifically in that circumstance, that you, as a fan base, do have influence.
Well,
in this
don't know
case,
if you'd even stop to look at some of the posts, like of their.
Oh, it's been bad.
Yeah, like 37 of the 38 comments would be like "fire GW." So like.
Yeah. No, that happened, and it was clearly the right decision for Sporting KC. Chiefs Bills, let's get back to that. Obviously, divisional round game. And there's been a lot of national talk around this game where I've heard as if the Bills are clearly just the better team. And I know the
don't
Chiefs,
get that.
I know the Chiefs are underdogs, and I have no problem with them being underdogs in this game. They probably should. They're going on the road. I get it. The Bills beat them early in the regular season. Do you agree with that, though, that if you're going across the roster, are the Bills better? I think their offense is better, but the Chiefs have the best defense in football, Harold.
Well, I mean, that's the key to the game. Do you let Josh Allen be Superman? So, because I think he's two players. Like, he's a running back and he's a quarterback. And
he's a running back that's Derrick Henry sized.
Yeah, he's a running back
Bigger,
that
maybe.
Honestly is probably bigger than all the linebackers and secondary players.
Yeah.
So if they get past that first level, you can't let him. If he has one of those days where he's turnover free and goes off and runs for about 70, 80 yards, that probably means the Chiefs lost. If you limit that, I think that means the Chiefs probably won. So I think really the key is don't let him get loose like Pittsburgh did. And also another big key is just take advantage of their second line of defense because their linebackers are like pretty much non-existent or very hurt.
Yeah, A.J. Klein is the story everybody brings up. He bought an RV to go to Key West. He bought an RV.
Yeah.
He was ready.
done.
He was ready to go.
Done, yeah.
He's giving it one last go.
I mean, that is like the Dolphins signing a couple
Bruce
guys.
Irvin and all these guys. Yeah,
I mean, it's like a desperate attempt to just have 11 guys that are healthy and ready to go. Like, you got to take advantage of this. Like, you're giving a gift with their second line of defense and the linebackers. I mean, we know about their safeties. They're obviously pretty darn good, but you've got to take advantage of what you're going, and what do they like to do? Crossers a lot. Rasheed Rice across the middle.
Middle of the field should be open.
Middle of the field should be very enticing for them.
That's what people. What's funny about it is like, well, those safeties will really prevent the deep ball. I'm like, the Chiefs don't throw the deep ball, so okay. Yeah. Oh no, you've shut down the deep passing game. That's the last thing you need to shut down against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You got to shut down everything else before then. That's why I think both of us love Pacheco in this game.
If I see
it's an excuse to use Pacheco 2 weeks in a row.
If I see the Chiefs have a lot of 7-play, 75-yard drives, with like a couple runs, and a lot of middle passes, then that means they've won the game because that means they're dictating the flow offensively, and they're getting things done. So that's really just the big key offensively. And then we already talked about the defense, taking care of that.
I mentioned right when you walked in, Harold, we got started, that Andy had mentioned some of the injuries. Wanya Morris out with the concussion, Derek Nottie out with the tricep injury, and Sky Moore's not going to be activated from IR for this game. Look, they're much healthier than the Bills. We were going back and forth earlier today and earlier this week. If both Wanya Morris and Donovan Smith were fully healthy, they're not, but let's just say that was the case, who would you have preferred to start? I'll go with the veteran on the road every time.
Yeah, but I mean, they'd lean toward Wanya, haven't they? Like toward the end of the year. I mean,
but that's hard. It felt like they were sitting Donovan Smith down.
He got hurt though. That's why Wanya got in.
He's still hurt. Like, I mean, we talked to him after the game in the locker room, and he was basically like, we asked him, like, how you feeling? He's like, no comment. Because I'm like, I think
he's still got a little neck stinger.
Hurt.
But he's not, in fairness, he's not on the injury report. So we have to, when you're on the injury report, I assume, I get what you're saying.
You're healthy in the same way most players are healthy this time of year. And your body feels like garbage. But
Wanya can't play because, concussion protocol and still trying to work his way back.
He's not ready yet. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, it looked like they were generated toward like, hey, let's see what we got in this guy the last couple. And, there's good, because Donovan's on a 1 year. So it's
he's not a long-term answer.
He's not a long-term answer. So, like, Wanya is your long-term. So I think they saw what they got, but they've got to go with the guys. But Donovan's hurt, and I mean, And if there's one thing Buffalo can do defensively, their defensive line is still like they still have decent stuff in the line, both offensively and defensively.
They're a lot like the Chiefs. They're very deep on the defensive line.
Yes, very
It's
deep.
not. They don't have like a bunch of stars. It's not like every Bosa imaginable on there, but they got a couple of really good pass rushers, and then everyone else just kind of helps chip in. The difference is for them is all of their guys get 2 or 3 sacks, and all the guys with 2 or 3 sacks are out of the secondary for the Chiefs.
Sure.
To me, in a weird way, the more I've gone through this season, in a weird way, it feels more repeatable for the Chiefs because they don't have to rely on these one-on-one wins. I pointed the stat out to Gold earlier, which is nobody in the NFL has more unblocked defenders at the quarterback than the Chiefs.
That's Spags.
They are, that is Spags.
That's scheme, man.
He's better at getting guys fully clean, unblocked, untethered to the quarterback than anyone else in the league. That's how they get their
He's got
sacks.
people getting to the quarterback with 2 down linemen. Like, I mean,
Yeah, he did. Aminihu absolutely dominated his man there.
And I don't think we talk enough about Aminihu.
He has been fantastic.
Huge.
I called him the secret weapon in this next game.
Has been great. 10.5 sacks regular season. He's been fantastic.
Jones has always been great.
Dana's been good in a contract year. But Charles Aminihu, like he's played in 11 games. He has 7 sacks, like 7.5 technically. So like he's been fantastic. He's been on a streak. He's been on a tear. He's the reason they had that interception to Mike Edwards because of the way he got his hand up into his face. So he needs a lot of credit. And I think this is a game for him to just continue to shine. And with, of course, with Nadi out, like he can line up in 3 technique. He can line up on the outside. Like he can do a lot of things. He's very versatile. He's a Swiss Army knife out there on the line, which he could drop back if he wanted to. I mean, like, I wouldn't suggest it, but he can.
Sure. But look, he's
good.
He's on a 2-year deal too, and depending on what happens this offseason with Chris Jones, like Aminihu is going to be a huge part of this team next year too. Yeah. It turned out to be you don't like to see a 6-game suspension, but what a signing! What a signing! Even for it's not often you say, man, what a great first. Someone missed 6 games, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's been sensational. This whole defense has. So we got Harold Kuntz from Fox 4 joining us in studio, getting set for the Chiefs wild card divisional round weekend game against the Buffalo Bills. Rashee Rice, you want to talk about someone that's been hot right now. 2 games in a row over 100 yards. They're just feeding him. They trust him finally. He's making the most of the opportunity. The middle of the field that you brought up, a couple minutes ago, we can talk about Kelsey. And that seems like the spot for Rashee Rice, man. Underneath, all of a sudden it's a 10-yard pass. He can take, an extra 12 yards or so.
To the point now with him, if I'm an opposing defense, you're thinking about like, okay, we need to keep our eyeballs on him at all times.
Sure.
But 2, like, I'm thinking, like, do we bring the safety help for him and just say, like, like in basketball, sometimes they're just
Travis one-on-one?
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, it gives you that thought.
Yeah.
It gives you that thought, especially since Travis has been, he obviously is not, like, full Travis Kelce. It's just like, but he's still pretty darn good and runs most of that offense. It's just, you have to give that thought now to giving safety help to Rashee Rice, which opens up the other guys. I mean, use a basketball analogy. Like, hey, we got a double LeBron. Somebody's going to be open in the wing. Somebody's going to be open in the now. Catch the football, and then you got a good offense going. So, you definitely have to, like, if you're another team's defense, you have to consider that. Like, oh, I want to bring a safety blitz. Well, no, I need to help Rashee. So it's especially with the quarterbacks they have at their disposal right now.
I think this is I think this is kind of where Gold and I were having this conversation earlier this week, which was, like, is Rashee more valuable to the offense now than Travis for the first time ever?
Yeah.
And my answer was still no, even though what you're saying is true, because the reason why teams haven't done that is because they still spend so much time worrying about Travis, because Travis was the key to their entire offense for the last, for like 24 consecutive games. All of last year, and then a decent chunk of this year, until they realized that Rashee could be this absolute target monster. And what we see on all those Rashee crossers is, they got to pay attention to Travis. Because if you don't, he'll just get you 15 yards at a time. And I think to a point, if you're a defense, you say, screw it. Let's shut down Travis and let the rookie beat us.
Yeah.
It's his first playoff game. Miami came to that. They're like, it's his first playoff game. We'll let him beat us. He did.
Yeah.
Pretty sizably.
He did.
So it's like, can they do that 2 times in a row where the Bills change plans? I don't know.
I think 130 yards receiving would tell somebody he beat you. So
Twice as much as Tyreek.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like, all right, well, let's look. I mean, and he's got the trust. I mean, Andy even said it himself Wednesday. Like, Andy, they're not going to say a lot during these press conferences, but he said, like, he gets better every week. And he sounds surprised when he says that every week, too. He has this look of, like, I can't believe he's this good. Like, I think he's exceeded even Brett Veach's and all the personnel staff expectations of him when he got there. I think he's exceeded that. It's pretty good. I mean, and when you got a guy that connects with Mahomes, can read on the same mind level with Mahomes, because sometimes I always think Patrick's, it's not a fault of his, but sometimes I think the receivers can't catch up to him, and it's going to make him look bad just because like they're
not
catch
thinking
up to
as fast as his brain's
thinking
thinking.
capability.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes everybody look bad. It's like, smart people can't work with dumb people sometimes. Right. So like, it's just, as much as you try to make the dumb person smart, it just doesn't happen sometimes.
Are you with us on the wide receivers where, not that you don't want anybody to get healthy, but Sky Moore not being even eligible, he's not coming off IR this week, and then Tony, we'll see, like, not be tempted to.
He might not even be active.
Yeah, not be tempted to even play. Like, I kind of like it. Make both of them inactive. I don't want them to be tempted.
Don't get into
McCole
the
Hardman
double
and
end
Richie,
around pass or whatever.
Playoffs now.
McCole Hardman.
You got to make a business
Yeah,
decision.
and I think we've started to see that, and it needed to happen a long time ago, but now it's happening now.
Let's not forget the reason this game's on the road is because
Absolutely.
of Tony.
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
yes,
you got to make a business decision.
Yeah, I just don't want that. Like, sometimes I think we overthink the redemption story. Like, I don't need Kadarius Toney getting a special play where he has a chance to be the hero. Okay, I don't need that. He screwed it up earlier. It is what it is. Like, I don't need to give him another opportunity just because.
Is it worth it just because of an end around play?
Yeah, just because. It's against the team where he cost us the game. Let's give him a chance to make up for it. No, I don't need that.
Sometimes I think Andy's guilty of, like, if he's got a couple flaws as a coach, because everybody does.
Yeah.
This is not a knock. We all think Andy is probably the best coach in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. But they all have their flaws. One of his flaws is that. It's just, oh, no, there's no way this play doesn't work. I got too many good athletes. I'm sending everyone in the wrong direction. Kadarius Toney's the perfect man to execute it. And he stops thinking about the man, the person, the player, and what they could do wrong in this moment, which is the whole point I had made about Dave Tope for all those years. Like, Dave Tope was always like, no, we like fielding it inside the 10. I'm like, he's like, people will be like, think about that punt return. Think about that punt return Kadarius Toney made in the Super Bowl. I'm like, yeah, but, I mean, you guys never talk about when it goes bad.
First off, we didn't catch it from the 5 either. It's more like the 15. But still, like, yeah. The funny part about Kadarius is, as skillful as he is, as talented as he is, and the New England thing was kind of like the last straw.
Yeah.
You could tell. Like, I mean, it felt like a last straw type thing, like the hip strain and among other things coming on. It really felt like the last straw. But to their credit, I mean, if things are moving smoothly, and that's why they brought McCole back, the guy that knew the system, and you could see in the first half in Miami they were trying to get the ball to him. I mean, so it's kind of like we trust McCole in this situation where it's like you or Sky or Kadarius could do a lot of the same things on the field. Like, well, we trust 12 right now, so that's what we're rolling with.
How do you feel about the actual road part? So Travis Kelce's talking now. He says, quote, I grew up in Cleveland, man. They were throwing beer bottles at people.
Yeah,
Buffalo
exactly
cold,
right.
playoff game, doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it has any impact on Patrick Mahomes' ability to play just because he's on the road. It doesn't worry me at all. He's been just as good on the road in the regular season. Look, I got no evidence in the postseason. He's played in 0 road games. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I'll have to see how he performs in Buffalo, but I don't think it's going to impact him.
Here's my thing about road games. There are road games where you play in Vegas. There are road games where you play in LA. Like, if you look at the Chiefs road games, I whittled it down to there was about 3 true, authentic road games they played all season.
That feels right.
New England, but the team was not good. But that's an authentic road game. I thought Green Bay was an authentic road game.
Yep.
And even though it was a lot of red in the crowd, I thought Minnesota was an authentic road game. Because it's just someplace they haven't been to before. Their city is very passionate about their city, win, lose, or draw. Buffalo is one of those authentic road games.
It's not going on the road in college. It's going to LSU.
That's what they got. Like, that's what Buffalo's got. They got the Bills. Yeah, they got the Sabres. But they got the Bills. That's all Buffalo has. So this is a road game where I do think there will be some impacts. There will be some false start penalties, the full 9. But that's about it. Like, I mean, it's the typical stuff that happens on the road just because they can't hear. But, like, they're close. They're furious. Weather, I mean, that's the other thing, too, about Buffalo for the longest time is, weather was their big advantage. That's not an advantage. Like, Kansas City's played in the game colder the week before. So, yeah, but Buffalo is one of those authentic road advantages where there will be some things that happen that you wouldn't normally see because it's just Buffalo. I don't think it's like a point advantage. I just think it's a mental game more than anything that they just got to fight over it. And the first couple drives, it might be slow just because of that, but then they'll get it going.
Harold Kuntz of Fox 4 joining us here in studio. Club 610 presented by Jay Rieger & Co. Drinking some whiskey sours today. And you guys can interact with us on the video stream. Yeah, they're very good. Good job, man. Yeah. This was
nice presentation.
Yeah, the presentation. This was
that really sets it apart. Doesn't it?
This was one of your better presentations.
Please enjoy my random stir straws that I bought 20 years ago. Mine says TWA.
Oh my
gosh,
gosh,
been an airline in play in a very long time.
Yeah, TWA. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Bought,
these still have like this is we're gonna get like lead poisoning or something. these are 30-year-old.
These are all the stir straws I have in my house.
No,
I bought like a whole jar full of them one time at a garage. So they were in a beer pitcher, and they were $0.25 for all of them. There was like 100 of them. And the guy's like, I was like, hey, I just want the stir straws. I don't want the beer pitcher. He's like, no, you gotta buy both. It's $0.25 for both of them, but you have to take the beer pitcher. I'm like, but I don't need it. He's like, you have to take both. It's like, here's your $0.25.
I just love the fact that this made it through. You moving as well. Like you're like, you know what? Don't throw out the stir straws. No,
nice.
Keep them.
They're nice. They're nice to have in the bar when you make a cocktail at home. It's nice to have a little stir stick.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all. What's your say on it, Harold? What's your stir stick say on your drink?
Stir stick? Oh man.
This. What's it say? No, on your drink right now.
I don't know.
I'm sure it says TWA.
I'm not a fancy drinker, so I mean, but I do appreciate the presentation, but I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to look at it.
Yeah, it's just there to hold the fruit.
Exactly. And I mean, grapefruit, great choice.
Bigger picture for this game, for you guys,
we went from great draw stick, bigger picture.
Yeah, well,
for the game.
it's time to move on.
Bigger picture from the drinks.
Let's talk a transition, as we like to call it.
We tried to move on. I think we spent enough time on the stir sticks for this game.
Did we?
I think we did.
Very Bryant Gumbel-esque. It's like, and those war prisoners will be remembered. Moving on now. It's a hot topic in our community. Clothing, fashion is in style now.
Bigger picture, we know as Cody asked you or talked about the road stuff for Mahomes, and okay, I don't think he's turning into a pumpkin on the road and all that. For Josh Allen, though, he could fall to 0-3 against Mahomes in playoff games.
Yeah.
The pressure discussion here, I mean, to me, it's clearly on Josh Allen. What's
100%.
The narrative's like, what changes out of this game? If Mahomes wins, we know, okay, he can win on the road. Not that we questioned it really, but like, okay, that's done. Doesn't really matter. If Josh Allen wins, then what for like where this Chiefs-Bills rivalry is at?
If the Bills lose this game, I would question the integrity of the regular season for the Chiefs. And I mean this in this light. That means that of all the ups and downs we've seen this team go through in the regular season, we know that they can just turn it on in the postseason. And as a consumer, I'd be like, you know what? Talk to me in November about the Chiefs. I don't really care what the record is. I just know they're going to fix it because they have the personnel that fix it, and they can just turn it on like that. Now, things could change if Travis Kelce decided to, call it a day in the next year or two. But that's just the way I feel about this team. Like, they have the experience that other teams do not. Even if they play Baltimore or Houston next week, they have more experience than them. Like, we're going into a Baltimore-Houston game right now where Baltimore should clearly win that football game. And our question is, well, Lamar hasn't really won much in the playoffs because you can't really count that one game he won in Tennessee at Saturday at 12 o'clock. Not like I don't remember it or anything. But,
yeah, man.
But yeah, it's just like the pressure is immense on Buffalo. If I'm Buffalo, the pressure is immense. They have them at home. Like, we're talking about 6 games they played against each other. One was in Buffalo, and you can't even count that one because that was COVID. So this is it. This is their opportunity. Like, this is what you play all season for, to get these home games. I'm using their NBA references, but this is why, like, the Sacramento Kings got Game 7 at home because they won 82. They won more games in 82 games than the Golden State Warriors did. But who won? Golden State. And you know the reason why? Because they had championship experience, and the other team is trying to win a champion. I think Buffalo, even if Buffalo won this game, they're getting blown out the next week because this is all they're invested in.
What's wild is
that's their investment right now.
Is that Buffalo is the only team that compares close in playoff experience. Josh Allen's played in 9 playoff games. Do you know how few quarterbacks even play in that many? We're talking about Patrick Mahomes' 15 playoff games. It was Peyton Manning in year 17 before he had played in his 15th career playoff game. Josh Allen's played in a lot of them. He's 5-1 in games he doesn't play Mahomes. He's 0-3 in the ones he has.
And you're
so if you go 0-4, then you're just never getting past them.
who's already one of the best postseason football players in NFL history, and he's still got another 10 years left.
But this is also
It's
why
nuts.
everything you're saying I agree with, and that's why I can't wait for Sunday, but also just like the villain role. Like, man, if you go in and just break the hearts of Bills fans because they think like, all right, this time it's in our place. We got you now. Oh, if you do that, then why on earth should they ever believe it's going to happen? That's what's beautiful about this whole thing.
The Buffalo has to go back to the fact that, oh, great, we need to shovel up another 12 inches of lake effect snow. And I mean, I went to Syracuse like for graduate school.
You're familiar with lake effect
so
snow.
I'm very. And let me tell you, for some people that don't, lake effect snow is no joke. It's serious. It piles up quickly and fast and furious, and those roads get bad, and there's no way you can clear them off because it's like 2-3 inches per hour. Like it keeps coming. It comes in waves. It's not a joke. But all that to say, get off my weather high horse for a bit. But yeah, it's one of those things where like like Buffalo's been to 4 Super Bowls and they're 0-4. They've had Scott Norwood. They've had 13 seconds. They've had so many things happen to them, and you're like, and they're finally like, this has got to be it. And you get your hyped, and if you're a fan, you get hyped up. You're so pumped. You're like, this is finally the day. And then when it happens, thud. 5 years later, you're like, gosh darn it, I still remember 13 seconds of this. Like, if they would write hate songs about the Chiefs, I wouldn't blame them. The problem is the Chiefs might still come out and win. That's how it would be if I were a Buffalo Bills fan. If I were
And I know it's not like Cincinnati where there's true trash talk happening back and forth. This seems a little bit different than that. Cincinnati's their biggest rival
this
still.
This is a nice rivalry.
But it's a nice. I disagree with this text though from the 816. Says Holmes is nowhere near the villain. LOL. No one's scared of him. He's too nice. A villain's someone who beats everyone and everyone hates. No one hates Mahomes. Have you not been following any of the national stuff this week?
I would say that
I just disagree.
Buffalo fans,
I just disagree. One, he does. Someone that says like he beats everyone. He does beat everyone. So that part he does. And people maybe Bills fans don't hate Mahomes. But I still think if you've been watching any of the national shows this week, there is clearly a little bit of it's time for
their comeuppance. About time.
They don't dislike Mahomes the person.
Right.
They dislike Mahomes the football player.
Absolutely. Well, they also still. I mean, this whole year has been whether it was Mahomes after the last Bills game whining. That was how they viewed it as whining, right?
That was bad.
That has been a shift. Anything nationally this year. I'm not even just talking like crazy social media stuff. I just even some of the national talking heads. Whether it's another game not even involving Mahomes and a player doesn't get a personal foul or a roughing the passer, they relate it right back to Mahomes and bitch and moan about it.
Yeah.
So, to me, that is part of being the villain as well. Everybody thinks you're, just like we talked about Brady in the past, he gets everything. That's being a villain, by the way. That's how I view it as well.
Yeah, but Brady, as he got older, he definitely started to be like, you know what? Good, bring it. And I think Mahomes is transitioning into that, you know what? Good, bring it. He said himself, hey, look, when you're facing a good friend, which we know is well documented, they're friends. They golf together publicly. He even said it himself, like sometimes when you face your best friend, like if you're facing Cody.
we said it,
like, it's just.
You still want the bragging rights?
I'm playing one-on-one basketball against a stranger, like I lose. So what? If I'm playing one-on-one against Gold, it's like you try even harder.
There's a little more investment.
Sure, even like silly competitions. I mean, we've done the 40-yard, we've done the combine here at the station. Cody enjoyed the bragging rights for that. Hot dog derby, I won. I enjoy the little bragging rights for that. That's right. It doesn't matter. You always want. I mean, people are competitive by nature.
I don't know if you guys watch tennis, but I was watching last night, and Coco Gauff faced Alicia Parks, and they grew up playing tennis since they were 7. And then they go on the court, and Coco beats her 6'2" in 50 minutes. And I'm like, that's it. They're friends, and we're gonna hug it out after.
Not now.
And hope your family's well. But when we step in between the lines here, I want you to kick your ASS, and that's just how it works sometimes. So,
all right. Yeah. No. I hear you. I hear that. All right. Coming up next, though, let's get into some of these other games for the weekend, plus our final game predictions. It's a Club 610 Red Friday. We got Harold Kuntz from Fox 4 with us here on 610 Sports Radio.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every weekday starting at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Call Tax Help USA to get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005.
Last year, other dealers were charging up to $10,000 over MSRP, but those cars haven't held their value. I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. If your car is worth a lot less money than you bought it for, exchange it.
Is your car payment too much? Exchange it. Is your interest rate too high? Exchange it. Want a lower price? You guessed it. Exchange your vehicle at Volkswagen Lease Summit today. We're offering rates as low as 2.99% APR, low leases, and thousands off MSRP. Come and see us or visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Financing through VCI on approved credit.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. And don't forget about our 29-degree man-sized drafts. Our happy hour will have you coming back for more. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Butter is only $2.98 at Hy-Vee. That's not a sale price. That's the price with the Hy-Vee Perks membership. And $2.98 is not just the price today or this week. It's the Perks price every day. With the Hy-Vee Perks membership, you can save on hundreds of products store-wide every time you shop and count on Perks prices to stay the same. So if you want to pay less for butter every day, sign up for Hy-Vee Perks. It's free and easy. Some restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Kling. Convenience is key these days, and that's why I love shopping at Hy-Vee. Basically a one-stop shop, including all of your pharmacy needs. I've been using them for years. They're fantastic. They're quick. They're prompt. Hy-Vee makes it easier to transfer your prescriptions. Just call or stop by your local Hy-Vee pharmacy and let them handle the rest. You can transfer online or with the Hy-Vee mobile app. Now through March 31st, earn a $1 per gallon Perks fuel discount when you transfer and fill any new prescription at your Kansas City area Hy-Vee pharmacy. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
The NFL playoffs live on Odyssey. Westwood One brings you all the action from the divisional round, streaming live on the free Odyssey app.
And off McCaffrey runs left, powers into the end zone, touchdown 49ers.
Each team is one step closer to the big game.
Lamar Jackson throws it up for grabs and likely out-jumps the defense to bring it down.
Listen to every game live from Westwood One. Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today. AUDACY.
Well, it's Carrington from The Drive-In. You know what I like to do after the show? I like to just relax a little bit. I like to go somewhere, have a nice bite to eat, make sure I can watch the game, and just relax. The perfect place to do that is at the other place. They've got televisions all across the bar, so I never miss a second of the action. Plus, they got amazing Red Friday specials like $6 select appetizers, $5 Kona Big Waves at all the locations. So stop by one of the 3 locations, Shawnee, Olathe, and downtown Overland Park. Plus, they have 2 new locations opening up in Mission and Belton.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
If you or someone you know is suicidal or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides connection to free confidential support. There is hope. The Lifeline works. For 24/7 support, just call, text, or chat 988. Sponsored by ComCare and Rediscover.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Anjali.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just got an alert for a strange charge on my card.
No problem. We make sure you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases on your Discover card. Let's see. Did you purchase something from a t-shirt cannon store yesterday?
Absolutely not. No, I already have like 3.
$0 fraud liability guarantee. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Limitations apply.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Visit eatandys.com to find the location nearest you. Top your day with a smile.
With a smile at Andy's, top your day. With a smile at Andy's, top your day.
I love s'mores, so I made our new Andy's Frozen Custard S'mores Jackhammer just for fall.
The Chiefs have 13 seconds left. They have all 3 timeouts, but that's an almost moot with 13 seconds to go in the game. A 36-33 lead for Buffalo. Now the Chiefs have got to somehow get in field goal range. 36-33 Buffalo. 13 seconds to go in the game.
Very unfortunate for this Chiefs team. They've battled this entire game. Heck of a job. And now you're in a situation where you're behind the 8 ball, 13 seconds, as you mentioned.
Mahomes, they throw it to Tyreek Hill. This is the same kind of screen they ran against. Timeout called by the Chiefs. It used 6 seconds up to the 43-yard line. Same thing they ran for a touchdown against Dallas in the 2017 season. It's a 19-yard gain, but the Chiefs have to get much closer. They got to get one more chunk here, so you still could use deep middle maybe with the timeout and then try to tie it with a field goal.
And the Chiefs practice these scenarios each and every week. Clock winding down, they know exactly what plays to call, how much time it should take, if the receiver should catch and drop down quickly.
Chiefs have the ball at their own 44. 8 seconds left, down 3. Safeties are back for the Bills. Mahomes takes a snap on the near hash. Goes down the middle to Kelsey, 35, down to the 31. Timeout called by the Chiefs. Timeout at the 31-yard line with 3 seconds left, and here comes Butker, a 25-yard pass play. Put down a 49-yard try. Placement down, the snap was a little low, but Butker gets a kick up, and he ties the game. Ties the game. We're going to overtime.
That, of course, was the 13-second game. Mitch Holthus, Dane and Hughes, Chiefs Radio Network on the call, and an all-timer in one. Anytime you do any radio hits in Buffalo and bring up that game, they act as if the game didn't exist. It's kind of become a joke now when I go up on WGR 550.
Don't know what game you're talking about?
Like, we're not aware of this 13-second game. We got Harold Kuntz of Fox 4 hanging out with us here. It's a Club 610 Red Friday. We'll get into our final predictions for Chiefs-Bills, but it's a great weekend in sports anyway, and it's a great divisional weekend. Starting with the game Saturday afternoon, C.J. Stroud, been a phenomenal story. He looks like an up-and-coming superstar in this league. D'Amico Ryan. Lamar Jackson, you hinted at this earlier, Harold, like the storyline around him about not winning in the playoffs. How do you see that game going? Because I think the Texans can keep it close to make it at least a little interesting in this one, to where I would take the Texans to cover the 9.5 points. But I do think Baltimore off the rest, I expect them to be able to do some things maybe offensively against the Texans defense that I think is still vulnerable in the secondary.
First off, how cool would the Chiefs' luck be if they end up getting a 6th Arrowhead Invitational?
Unbelievable.
Dude.
They're going to be big
incredible
C.J.
would be
Stroud
that.
fans. That'd be kind of nuts.
That'd
That's
be nuts.
lucky. But
Well, you'd be good until you see him come into town and you're like, oh, no,
I'd be
go away.
You worry about it then.
Worry about Baltimore.
Yeah. You worry about it then, but yeah.
And good for Ohio State getting the quarterback right for once. But,
there you go.
I'm curious to see how the first couple drives go for Baltimore, like because of the rust factor. You know, they didn't play their starters in that last game, meaningless game against Pittsburgh, and they were off last week. So
It's been like 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious about the rust there, but I mean, for what we did see from Baltimore, it was darn good. So this is Lamar's time. Like, if this is, again, it's like Buffalo. Like, if this is the year, you better do it. So this is, I mean, they've invested a lot. They've got their pieces. They're healthy, which is something we haven't been able to say for Baltimore in the past. So, I mean, I like Baltimore in this game. But I'm just curious to see how they cover, the deep routes from Houston. Because if there was one thing CJ was doing, he was chucking it. I mean, he missed a couple.
That's the thing. They got the big play potential.
Yeah, they got big. I mean, it really reminds me of 2018 Chiefs. I mean, they don't have the statistics there because Stroud was out for 3 games, being a concussed and everything. And plus, he's playing his actual rookie season.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is what we would have seen out of Patrick Mahomes if he played his rookie season. And it's very familiar. They've got great weapons there. I mean, I think Nico Collins is fantastic.
I have to lock him up. He's only got a year left on his team.
Yeah, I think they need to lock him up for sure. I think they got the piece. Great coach. D'Amico Ryans, I think, is a fantastic coach. Andy Reid was very high on him when they played him in San Francisco. Now, he torched their defense when he was out there last year, but still, I think he's very high on him. Played under Andy Reid, even though he doesn't really want to admit he played for Philadelphia. That's another story for another day. But, yeah, I think very highly of Houston's stuff. I think they're a year from really contending, but I got to go with Baltimore in that one for sure.
I think that's the one that I would put on the highest level of real upset watch. I don't think anybody winning in the Chiefs-Buffalo game is an upset.
No,
I think the other 3 games, everyone's a clear favorite. Mm-hmm. The Lions are almost a touchdown favorite. The other 2 teams are almost 10-point favorites, not quite 9.5. I think that's the one I put at the greatest odds, and I think just because of what you said.
Yeah.
Stroud might just be that dude.
I think
they might actually finally have found the Manning to his Brady or whatever. Yeah. They might come out of that. Maybe that's still Burrow and he just got hurt. But
I can't go that far yet because we've been trying for the last 4 years. Allen
is still the most likely.
Allen is Allen is his Manning.
Be quick to tell you they're 5-1 against Mahomes and Allen.
Yeah,
they got 0 Super Bowl titles in their entire history.
No rings to prove it.
I'll definitely pump the brakes on the being able to say what he is yet. I mean, he's obviously going to be a problem, but to what extent I don't think we know yet. Talking about C.J. Stroud, I mean, we've been saying Burrow's that guy. We've been saying Allen's that guy. If C.J. Stroud gets to an AFC title game, though, and is going on the road to Buffalo or Kansas City, then I think we do have to reevaluate what we're saying.
You got to remember Houston had 2 pick sixes in that game too. So and we finally and Joe Flacco.
He looked like Joe Flacco.
He finally looked like Joe Flacco.
He turned into a pumpkin.
Yeah, the clock definitely struck midnight.
I mean, you can kind of see the signs. But then, it was like, oh, this is playoff football. He's getting exposed.
Then the evening game, but over in the NFC, you got the Packers and the 49ers. Also a 9.5-point spread for that one. This is the one where I actually could see the 49ers blowing out the Packers. I know everybody's high on Green Bay. Jordan Love's been playing really good.
It feels a year too early.
But it's for me, it's the Cowboys were so pathetic on defense. Like, I think the 49ers, who are fully healthy at the key offensive spot, they don't need Brock Purdy to be Superman out there or anything. Mm-hmm. I expect the Niners actually to roll in this game. I think the issues of the Packers defense creep back up and just put in perspective how bad Dallas was last week against Green Bay.
They were awful. And I'm not just saying that as a guy who grew up hating the Cowboys. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. But they were awful. Hey, they were pathetic. They're now 27-0.
I can't believe that didn't get McCarthy fired. I'm going to be honest. I can't believe he didn't get canned for it. His team no-showed a playoff game again.
Jerry showed perspective and said, all right, we're winning, and there's no guarantee we might stop winning. So he showed perspective. But, I mean, my goodness, Dallas was – I mean, Cleveland, their defense was
They've been bad defensively on the road all year for whatever reason.
But to be such a highly ranked defense statistically, they were terrible. Yeah, Houston just said, we're going to throw deep, see what the hell happens. So, old friend Juan Thornhill was over there suffering. So it's just –
like, I give the Packers credit for what they've done on offense. Matt LaFleur's done a great job. Jordan Love, once again, the Packers have another franchise quarterback. Yeah. And Dontavian Wicks and Dobbs and Christian Watson and Jaden Reed. Like, they're going to be very good going forward. I just think the Niners defensively, way tougher challenge than what the Cowboys.
The Packers have also struggled on pass defense, especially in the middle of the field. Seems like the 49ers are pretty good at that. Mm-hmm. Between Debo and Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey and Kittle,
San Francisco,
they're going to chew them up.
San Francisco's so loaded.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
You realize how loaded that team is?
Oh, yeah. That's the most talented roster.
They arguably have the best player at a position, about 4 or 5 positions.
Yeah, best left tackle, best running back.
Best running back.
They've had the best tight end this year.
Best tight
I
end
wouldn't
this
say
year.
every year, but this year.
I mean, and then I'd say Charvarius Ward has been one of the best corners.
He's an all-pro.
Yeah, he's an all-pro.
corner.
I mean, like
Fred Warner, best
Warner's
linebacker?
pretty good. Yeah. The defensive line's not like nobody wows you, but they're pretty darn good.
I mean, and
they're
let's be
solid.
honest, Debo is still a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Ayuk's a problem.
Yeah, they all are. They all are. Yeah, they're
like,
Super Bowl favorites
that-
for a reason
if
right
the
now.
Chiefs, like, we were talking about this before we went on earlier. Like, if the Chiefs had to play the 49ers in the Super Bowl, you're like, I can't look at this game objectively and say, like, this team has better talent.
If the Niners make the Super Bowl, they'll be favorites over any AFC team. I don't care whether it's the Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, Texans. Like, they'll be favorites. All right, then Sunday. Let's go to Sunday earlier before the Chiefs play. Bucks, Lions. Lions are 6-point favorites, 6.5-point favorites. We all know the story last week. Cool scene. I wonder early on in the game, could the Bucks get the Lions a little bit early just because all the emotion from last week? Like, how do you possibly match that when you had Stafford coming back, both from a fan and a player standpoint? So I actually kind of like the Bucks in the first half to keep it kind of interesting and close. I ultimately think the Lions win this game. They got way too much to me on offense for what the Bucks can do across a full 4 quarters.
The only way the Lions lose this game is to beat themselves. That's the only way they lose this game.
How wild is it?
Tampa's not good.
But how wild is it that either the Lions are in the NFC title game or Baker Mayfield is?
I'm fine with it.
What kind of world are we living in? It's so backwards.
I'm so fine with it. Credit to NBC. Because when they saw Lions Chiefs to open the season up, they thought to themselves, Lions are going to run like, I don't know. I'm like, now you got 2 of the top 4 teams in the league.
Gold, that might have been part of your, like, we were week 1, you're like, I don't get why
it's
everyone's
like,
so high on the Lions.
Like, well, here we are.
In the NFC title game. Look, no offense. I mean, there's nothing wrong with talking that then.
But Tampa beat a really bad football team last week. A team that was coming in 1-5. I was boasting to all my family.
You're an Eagles fan, so you're.
Yeah, I was boasting to all my family in Philadelphia. We were all talking about how bad they're going to lose. I was like, 7, maybe 10. We're like, oh, God, 23, and they can't tackle. Even worse than what we thought.
Did you want Sirianni gone?
No.
No, so you're good with him staying.
No.
In the Super Bowl 2.
Now, to be fair.
I know, but it was
that was the argument. They made the playoffs 3 straight years. So it's like Andy Reid type.
But you agree if Sirianni only if Sirianni is a wild card
what
team.
What type of precedent are you setting if you're firing a guy who made the Super Bowl just last year, made the playoffs 3 times, with a quarterback that we still don't know necessarily?
Well, they made their decision
really
already, though.
Good.
They paid Jalen Hurts, so that's what it is.
It's like you're stuck with Jalen, and now you're just. I felt bad for the veterans. That's what I felt bad for.
Well, Jason
Kelce, like he's over there, like almost crying and talking to Ed and his wife on the sideline afterwards. It's like. I felt bad for Fletcher Cox. I felt bad for Brandon Graham.
Yeah, but you heard what Jason said. He said, "Don't feel bad for him.
Respectful or
you don't
even
you don't know
accurate,
Harold."
But I do feel bad for
to
him.
be able to do
and that's
that
not going
right
to change my mind. I do feel bad for him. Like he didn't deserve the way that season ended.
Yeah.
Because he was in the middle of I think Jason realized, and a lot of the Eagles offensive players realized by about week 10, week 11, right around the time they played the Bills, they're like, something's not right here.
Oh yeah,
and it just went downhill from there. So I mean, there's going to be coordinator changes.
10-1. Ended up the 5 seed.
How the heck
Lost
is
to
the Eagles
Bucs.
coordinator getting interviews for head coaching jobs?
Rooney Rule.
Oh, yeah, probably right.
Yeah, I could talk
because otherwise it makes
the Rooney Rule.
Otherwise it makes no
David
sense.
Shaw
Harold.
got an interview.
Yeah.
Like the Rooney Rule is like one of those things where sorry, I got to get on a high horse about
No,
this.
you're right.
No, you're good.
We'll get our predictions here in a second.
Here's my thing about the Rooney Rule. It's well and good, it's intention, but one, we shouldn't even been in a place where we had to make a rule where you talk to minority candidates. That should have never happened. Back when Tom was hired. One. 2, if you're going to interview somebody that's within the league, like somebody that looks qualified. They have potential. Like not David. No offense to David Shaw, he's been out the game for a bit, and the last time he was at Stanford, he stunk. Right. And another thing that really gets me is now that these teams are advertising is look, we coached this guy, or we interviewed this guy. It's great, and I'm sitting here what are we doing? What in the absolute what are we doing? Interviewing some of these guys that are not qualified. You're just check a box. So now it's okay, we went from qualified minority candidates to now let's just check a box from owners of the NFL, which last I checked all are white. So it just does not look good. It never looked good from the beginning from when they set it up. Good on the Roonies for setting it up with Tomlin. That's great, and Tomlin's still there. But it just never looked good for the beginning, and now it just keeps looking worse and worse and worse. Now it's getting advertised worse, and now it's just starting to be an embarrassment.
I think part of it is we can all smell when it reeks of it, like Bill Belichick and the Falcons.
Yeah.
They're not interviewing. They're just continuing interviews to get to Bill Belichick.
Well, it doesn't help when you have Adam Schefter going, Chargers completed an interview with David Shaw for their head coaching job. They're now in compliances with the Rooney Rule.
No.
Rooney Rule.
Well, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
Reporters all treat it just like it's the thing you just mentioned. It's a check mark.
And reporters
Basically, it's like all clear now.
Reporters are at fault too for saying, "Well, we cleared the check mark."
I thought it was interesting.
I go to work every day thinking, "Oh, I'm a check mark. I'm glad I'm here." That's stupid.
We could have hours.
Sorry,
no,
audience.
you're good. We could have hour-long conversation on this.
It really does.
Sometime we could probably have more of a conversation about Gerard Mayo there in New England, because that situation is kind of interesting because the NFL knew already there was a plan in place, right, for him to get the job.
Sure.
Obviously, what we just said, like there are plenty of times where a candidate is interviewed even though they know they're never hiring them. In that spot, like if there's no way the NFL would ever have approved. Let's say Mike Vrabel was the linebacker coach in New England, and Gerard Mayo was out there, but Vrabel was the guy they had in waiting and already deal. Could you imagine? Like, there's no way the NFL would have approved that.
No.
So it's just, the whole thing's a mess. I mean,
There's been some situations like that before, yeah. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get to our game predictions presented by T-Mobile. Chiefs, Bills, Sunday Night Football, NFL picks are brought to you by T-Mobile, whether you're home or away. T-Mobile keeps you connected to Chiefs Kingdom all season long. We'll let you start, Harold. How do you see this thing playing out?
Man, 24-23, Chiefs.
Ooh, so close.
I genuinely believe there's going to be a play or a call that we're talking about for the next 2-3 years.
No.
Oh, call.
Oh, no.
Based on the way
no.
this NFL season goes, of course it would happen in the Chiefs-Bills game. Of course it would be in that game.
I'm sorry. It's coming down to like
a PI call or something?
A play.
A hold.
No. It could be like an exceptional play that's just a play.
Okay. I thought you meant call as in like the official. Okay.
Or a call that we're talking about.
I got you.
For 2-3 years, and some buildings or some properties getting damaged in Buffalo, whether we like it or either way.
Yeah, that's true.
And if I'm the Chiefs, if they get a win, I would literally go on the plane with your uniforms and get the heck out of there as soon as possible. Because it's just, I don't think they understand that. I mean, yeah, road games are road games, but they're getting into them. This is going to be a hostile environment.
A couple of weeks ago, I probably would have felt different. The Bills' injuries are too much. I do think this game is not in the teens.
That's the key, yeah.
But I also don't think that it's high scoring. I'm right with Harold. 24-21 is what I think it'll be Chiefs. I think a turnover is the difference late. And at this point, Josh Allen's just as likely to give it as Patrick Mahomes. But I truly do, like we've said all week, it's 50-50 this game. I'm not going to be surprised either way.
Remember who's questionable right now is their punter.
Yeah, I know.
I know they signed a backup, but special teams was not good.
They missed 2 kicks last week.
Their special teams was not good.
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying 23.
Yeah. So I'm a little more points than both of you. Not much though. I got 27-23. So we're all around that 23 mark for what the Bills are going to do. I trust this Chiefs defense. I do think Kansas City will continue to have some success on offense. But I also believe they'll probably settle for a field goal once or twice. That's why I just can't see them scoring more than 27. I like Kansas City in this one. I do think Isaiah Pacheco runs the ball 17, 18 plus times in this game, and they're able to close it out actually on the ground. And it will be Patrick Mahomes in victory formation, not the defense making the last stop. Patrick Mahomes in victory formation getting his first road playoff win.
That's the same exact score I had. I told you before the show, 27-23.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Mine's actually, though, a defensive stand. I think we get 2 turnovers by Josh Allen, and one of them goes to L'Jarius Sneed at the end of the game.
All right, guys. Fun weekend ahead. Thanks to Harold for joining us in studio. We're back at it Monday, hopefully on a Victory Monday right here on